Good afternoon and welcome to Opportunity Homes San Antonio's regular board meeting on Wednesday, August 5th, 2026. Please note this meeting will be recorded in its entirety. I will begin by conducting roll call. Chair Estrella Garcia Diaz.
Here.
Vice Chair Leila Powell.
Here.
Barbara Unkama Burford.
Here.
Janet Garcia. Tanika Nikki Johnson.
Here.
Dr. Norma Martinez Rogers.
Here.
Kayla Miranda. Doug Ponick, Board of Commissioners Attorney.
I'm here.
President and CEO Michael Reyes.
Here.
Additionally, there is a Spanish interpreter located at the back of the room should you need their assistance. Thank you. You may call the meeting to order.
Now I will call the meeting to order. It is now 1:17 p.m. The Board of Commissioners or its committee may hold a closed meeting pursuant to Texas Government Code 551.071-076 for consultation concerning attorney-client matters, real estate litigation, personnel, and security matters. The board or committee reserves the right to enter into closed meeting at any time during the course of the meeting. Do we have citizens to be heard?
Yes. Our first citizen signed up to speak is Justin Renteria.
Good afternoon, Opportunity Home Board and staff. My name is Justin Renteria, and I'm an aide to District 5 Councilwoman Terry Castillo. I'm providing the following comment on behalf of Councilwoman Castillo. I would like to express my continued concerns with Opportunity Home San Antonio's proposed moving to work activity 2026-2 and the Section 18 repositioning. As such, I oppose Opportunity Home San Antonio's moving to work plan amendment submission as currently drafted to the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. Public housing authorities were established to provide housing for families who would otherwise be unable to afford it. The repercussions from the proposed changes would severely disrupt San Antonio's fragile housing affordability ecosystem by potentially displacing extremely low-income families who have few, if any, alternative housing options. Opportunity Home San Antonio's application to HUD would formally initiate the shift of a publicly owned resource towards private entities whose interests are at odds with the mission of public housing. For decades, federal tenant protections have ensured that resident rent contributions are generally limited to 30% of adjusted household income while providing critical hardship protections against eviction. Opportunity Home's proposal seeks waivers of these protections without sufficient justification, creating unnecessary risks to housing stability for the city's most vulnerable residents. If Opportunity Home is adamant on moving forward with its RAD conversion, then its moving to work plan amendment should include binding long-term hardship protections, safeguards against excessive housing and utility costs, and transparent annual reporting on tenant rent burdens, hardship approvals, and displacement or eviction outcomes. I respectfully urge Opportunity Home to revise its submission by narrowing the scope of the requested waivers, limiting their application to the specifically identified developments rather than extending them to unspecified future units based on the project needs, and incorporating stronger, enforceable tenant protections before submitting the application to HUD. Yours in service, Terry Castillo, District 5 Councilwoman, San Antonio, Texas. Thank you.
Our next citizen is Richard Cantu.
Madam Chair, Commissioners, my name is Richard Cantu. I'm a 56-year-old disabled resident from the Banco Apartments where I have lived for over 6.5 years. I have cirrhosis, depression with psychosis, and other medical conditions. Socializing is very difficult, but I was raised to know right from wrong. That is why I am here. For the past year, I have received a change of escalating lease violations simply for reporting health and safety issues. That's the September 15th lug letter, the January 30th cease and desist, February 2nd violation, April 27th vendor incident, June 12th proposed termination, and July 8th notice. This creates a false pattern to justify an eviction. The HUD regulations and Opportunity Home policies guarantee the right to safe, decent housing to protect from the retaliation when reporting unsafe conditions, yet Opportunity Home has responded with eviction notices. Even your CEO, Mr. Reyes, understands what vulnerable families go through. He grew up in the Arizona Apache courts and lived the daily realities of public housing, the barriers, the stigmas, the struggles. My own family worked hard to escape poverty. My mother went to nursing school, worked 2 and 3 jobs, and put our family out of hardship when I was only 4 years old. I didn't remember poverty until disability put me into the vulnerability as an adult. Mr. Reyes lived it as a child, and today he has the power to fix the very conditions he once experienced, to protect the same kinds of families he grew up around, and the same elderly neighbors that I am trying to protect now. This is happening in real time. In May 2026, Worldwide Pest Control technician Anthony Trinidad refused to treat my unit after I asked him to verify the substance used. That substance had failed 5 months straight under the live capture testing method. My formal complaints were ignored and eviction followed. Worldwide Pest Control has failed to address structural rot infestation confirmed by the Texas Department of Agriculture on June 17th. Firetron has failed to fix fire alarms since 2013, confirmed by Paramedic Lieutenant Watts on April 30th. These are life-saving violations. Commissioners, I ask you to intervene, enforce HUD standards and your own policies to stop using these violations to retaliate against elderly and disabled residents. We are only asking for the basic standard living HUD already pays Opportunity Homes to provide. Please do not allow this eviction to continue. Thank you for listening. Please pray for me. I am fighting to keep a roof over my head. May God bless you, and may the Father guide your decisions. Thank you.
Our next citizen, Barbara Venegas.
This is my first time speaking, and I'm a resident here at Snowden Living, and I think that we've been having the only issue that I have complained. I feel embarrassed now because of what that gentleman just said, but we have been told over and over since before summer in this building, on the 4th floor, in the hallways, we have no AC. It is hot in there, and when some of us, I am disabled also, and when we're walking through there, or we want to walk because it's too hot to walk outside on each of the floor levels or take turns, and we cannot. And this is a new facility. Our management has talked to me and told me that they have reported it or sent it in to somebody, and they have to wait for the approval, but still it has not been done. Management has tried and, give me answers as best as they could, but the question, or my question isn't answered. When will it be repaired? That's it.
Thank you. Thank you for speaking.
Our next citizen, Leticia Vela.
Hello, Board. Thank you for holding your meeting here today. You can see the issues that we face as residents at Snowden. This particular space is not my favorite. I have submitted a written statement. We have an office here for residents, but it does not include a printer. So I was unable to print, and I did send them to your board relations manager, and she should have copies of those for each of you. My statement is regarding something that I've talked to someone here on the board level. I went to your Friday once-a-month classes downtown and really enjoyed them, but I did speak at that time to one of the ones in the architect kind of department, whatever that is, and I told them about the issue of the building. What happened, and it was unintentional, I'm sure, but what happened when they built this swimming pool here is that they created an amphitheater. All of the sound bounces off the wall onto the building, and there's one wall around the pool, and then there's a second wall around the parking lot if the pool wall doesn't catch it. So we have the effects of sound in this amphitheater, and I have the best seat in the amphitheater. So I've submitted to you an issue. What what it is, and it's not management's fault. This was something to do with the building, with the selection of the site, with one of those things. But what I have sent to you is a diary of my daily life in my apartment, so you can hear what I hear. And I'm looking to you all for guidance on how to handle this matter. I did do an AI search. My AI question was, best practices for senior apartment swimming pool with residents living next to the pool. Really simple, anybody could have done that. The answer that AI gave me was that key practices include setting strict quiet hours, installing sound-absorbing physical buffers, and prohibit the use of external speakers. Unfortunately, the buffering, we missed that chance with the amphitheater structure that was built. And so the diary that I sent you will tell you a little bit more about the issues that I'm dealing with. And you know, I understand that this is a question about how we balance our health and exercise in a swimming pool that also affects the comfort and peaceful life inside our homes. So I hope that you take this issue in consideration, not only for Snowden Living, but for any other apartments that you all are involved in. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Our next citizen is Chris Acosta. Our next speaker is Leticia Sanchez.
Can we check that, just please?
Will you give her your time, please? See? Okay.
Thank you.
I don't have that name on my sign-up sheet.
Araceli Herrera's not on your sheet?
She was here before,
Okay. Gracias.
Will she
Thank
be
you. I won't
ceding her
go
entire time?
She did say she would rescind her time, yeah, or pass her time on to her.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Leticia Sanchez, and I thank you for the opportunity to speak here before you today. I'm here speaking on behalf of the Historic West Side Residents Association, which includes homeowners, renters, and public housing residents. Our comments today are regarding the proposed Moving to Work Plan Amendment, Section 3C. We oppose Opportunities Home requests for blanket authority to waive in full Sections 802A-C of the 1937 Housing Act and 24 CFR 5.628 for the purpose of structuring debt in tax credit developments. These provisions are federal protections that ensure voucher affordability, protections for reasonable accommodations for the disabled, and ensure income-based rents. Eliminating them is an extreme and unjustifiable measure that would expose residents to unaffordable rents, displacement, and the loss of statutory safeguards. Opportunity Home should not pursue financing strategies that depend on dismantling federal frameworks designed to protect low-income families, seniors, and disabled residents. Our association would like to believe that the members on this board do their research on each topic presented to them by the Opportunity Home staff and understand the long-term impact from their decisions to support or oppose proposals brought before them. We hope that you fully understand that if you vote to approve Opportunity Home's request under Section 3C, that your decision will negatively impact the most vulnerable residents of our city. Do you understand that voting to waive 24 CFR 5.628 will remove the federal formula that caps how much rent low-income families must pay? Without this regulation, families could be charged more than they can afford, which would lead to evictions, displacement, and more homelessness. I want to share a brief story with you about one of our residents, Mrs. Balderas, who does not live in an Opportunity Home housing. She's disabled, and her husband passed away 2 weeks ago. Because of his death, her household income went from $2,290 to $1,200. However, her rent of $890 will not be reduced because of her household income being has decreased. She must try to find another apartment that charges less rent, or she must learn to manage to pay utilities, food, and medications with the $310 that's left after paying her rent, or face eviction if she falls behind on her rent should an emergency arise. Currently, Opportunity Home residents have these federal protections to protect them from a situation like Mrs. Balderas. But if you vote to support this blanket waiver, residents will no longer be protected from increases in rents that make living on a fixed income extremely difficult. Right now, I hope you know that if residents come up with some kind of emergency situation, they are supposed to inform management and a new rent calculation should occur, correct? So that we don't have people being put out on the street. This, if you vote to support this full waiver, this could happen. If Opportunity Home's stated goal is merely to establish flat tax credit income bands, there's absolutely no justification for requesting broad, full section waivers that dismantle core federal tenant protections. There's no reason why Opportunity Home cannot meet its underwriting needs without having to strip away the very federal frameworks that protect low-income families, seniors, and disabled residents from unaffordable rents. Therefore, our association asks that you vote against Opportunity Home's request for full waivers under Section 3C, and instead ask for a revision to this request for a waiver of entire sections of regulations that help to protect our Opportunity Home residents, that help to prevent evictions, and that promote the mission of a housing authority such as Opportunity Home. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you.
Our next citizen is Ana Palenko.
Muy buenas tardes. Me voy a dirigir en español y la compañera Marisa me va a ayudar con interpretación. Soy Ana Polanco de Martínez y de la Coalición por una Vivienda Digna. Como parte de la misión de nuestro trabajo es abogar para que nuestros vecinos y residentes puedan alcanzar una vivienda digna y asequible. El acercamiento que hacemos a través de ir puerta a puerta nos ha permitido conocer de cerca las opiniones y las necesidades de nuestros vecinos. Entre ellas, las personas que actualmente están viviendo en vivienda pública, lo cual agradecen a Opportunity Home por permitirles conservar su hogar donde pueden sentirse seguros y protegidos de cualquier situación que altere su bienestar material y mental. En ese sentido, ahora estoy acá y me uno a muchas voces de las que ustedes van a escuchar para pedir que se adopten las exenciones legales que favorezcan a las personas y que limite la flexibilidad estrictamente a proyectos específicos como lo voy a decir en inglés, no sé si lo voy a decir bien, es el de Restore Rebuilding Unit o restauración y reconstrucción de unidades, con el fin de garantizar las protecciones y las garantías. Gracias.
Good afternoon. I am Ana Polanco from the Coalition for Dignified Housing, and part of our mission is to advocate so that our neighbors and residents can have access to dignified and affordable housing. Going door to door has allowed me to gain firsthand insight into people's opinions and needs, including those who currently live in public housing. They are grateful to Opportunity Home for allowing them to keep their homes where they can feel safe and protected from any situation that might disrupt their material and mental well-being. In this regard, today, I join many voices in calling for the adoption of legal exemptions that benefit people and strictly limit flexibility to specific projects, as in restoration and rebuilding units, in order to ensure protection and guarantees. Thank you.
Next speaker is Evangelina Coronado.
Hola, buenas tardes. Mi nombre es Evangelina. Soy de la Coalición por una Vivienda Digna y debido a mi trabajo he conocido las necesidades de los residentes del Westside, especialmente la lucha continua de quienes viven en vivienda pública como los Apache Corps, que son personas en su mayoría de bajos ingresos, de edad avanzada y algunos con discapacidad.
Good afternoon. My name is Evangelina. I am with the Coalition for Dignified and Housing. And because of my work, I have recognized the needs of the residents, particularly in the West Side, who continue to fight and who receive public housing, especially those in Los Apache Courts. Those of whom I'm speaking of are the elders, the elderly, the disabled, and the low income.
Ellos valoran Opportunity Homes por ofrecerles una vivienda asequible y por eso les pedimos se mantengan firmes en esa noble causa, ya que de lo contrario aumentaría el número de personas que viven en las calles o bajo los puentes.
They value Opportunity Home for offering them public housing. And that is why they ask that you maintain firm in the noble cause, and on the contrary, to lower the number of the people that will continue to become homeless or live under the bridge.
Apoyamos su plan, que es la única opción que se tiene para salvar esas unidades y la dignidad de las personas, y se limite la exención únicamente a las unidades rehabilitadas bajo Restore Rebuild Units y se añada protección para las personas que pierden sus ingresos en forma permanente.
We support your proposal to save the Restore Rebuild units to protect the dignity of the people who live there. We also want the waivers strictly to apply to the Restore Rebuild units and to add strong protections for residents who permanently lose their income.
Thank you por hearing me.
Thank you.
Our next citizen is Jeanette Rico.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, members of Opportunity Home Board and neighbors. My name is Jeanette Rico. I am a proud former public housing resident of the Alazan Apache Courts. And a lot of members, a lot of residents who live there wanted to be here today, but out of fear of retaliation, I'm speaking on their behalf. And I'm here today representing the Coalition for Dignified Housing as well. We are standing here to firmly oppose the sweeping plans to convert our city's public housing stock into federal rental assistance demonstration and our RAD programs, and RAD programs. Specifically, we are here to sound the alarm for communities like Henry B. Gonzalez Apartments. Henry B. Gonzalez is a home of 51 families, prominently elderly individuals and neighbors living with disabilities. These are the absolute most vulnerable members of San Antonio's community. They rely on the firm, under-yielding protection of Section 9 public housing guarantees their stability. Opportunity Home tells us that RAD is the only choice to address a massive $550 million maintenance blockage. They claim this privatization model is the only way to modernize, but we refuse to accept a system that gambles with public trust just to fix the plumbing. History in San Antonio warns us what happens when we go down this road. Remember the Victoria courts. We remember the Wheatley courts. Promises of redevelopment and modernization led to fewer families returning and communities displaced. Furthermore, national audits show that federal oversight drops drastically under RAD, with thousands of converted units failing because of housing quality standards. We cannot allow that oversight to vanish, especially not for seniors and disabled residents who cannot simply pack up and move when things go wrong. Loopholes in RAD programs allow housing authorities to permanently eliminate apartments left in despair. We cannot let Henry B. Gonzalez be reduced to a corporate line item or cleared out for private development partners. Public housing belongs to the public and the people who live there. Safe, dignified housing is a public human right, not a private commodity. We urge this board to vote no on the RAD conversion. Protect Henry B. Gonzalez, keep public housing public, and keep our seniors safe. Thank you for your time.
Our next citizen is Roman Zemon.
I'd like to give my time to Natalie Herrera.
Our next citizen signed up to speak is Natalie Guerrero. Change it to 6.
Hi, good morning. My name is Natalie Guerrero, and I'm with the Historic Westside Residents Association. My concern is I have family living at the Garden Square San Juan Apartments on 1938 South Zamora. My concerns, and I took pictures, filthy, dirty. I have pictures I can expose. Homeless in the middle of the hallways, filthy, dirty, dogs, dumpsters, wide open, overfilled with trash. It's disgusting and it's sad. I'm sad that I have relatives living in there. What's even sadder is that I have a cousin that's been living there for a while, raising 3 kids, grandkids. She was a double amputee diabetic. Did the best she could. She's worked hard all her life. She got her little Social Security check. She could afford to live there. At what cost? No respect, no consideration. Living on filth. Would you rather be homeless or live on filth? I mean, it's a choice. Sometimes it's better to be homeless. I don't know. Who pays for this stuff? They ask for all this money to build brand new low-income apartments. Who manages them? They're not consistent. They don't keep up. No maintenance. I mean, I'm looking for work. I'm willing to work. Maybe I don't have the experience to be at least an agent, but you know what? I'm considerate. I care about people. I have respect for people, consideration. I can do that job. Anybody can do that job that's here, I'm sure, that lives in public housing or low-income houses. We're good people. We're hardworking people. My cousin needed to take these kids in with no help, but they were her grandkids. She brought them in. They were charging her full rent of $1,100. She had to get a bigger apartment because they needed the room. So got a bigger apartment, $1,100 on a fixed income. Okay, her son, 32 years old, her provider. is taking care of her, so he's getting a little paycheck. Hey, Mom, let's get it together. We'll pay this one, we'll make it work. They made it work for maybe a year or two. She passed away, fortunately, in March of this year. And guess what? They're throwing out her son, 32 years old. The grandkids are 15 and 14 years old. I live in the west side of San Antonio. I see how these kids get lost. 15, 13, 12, 11, they're lost. You know why? They have nowhere to turn. Okay, so we turn to this, public housing. This is all we can, I thought this is why you guys were here for, right? This is why the program is here for, to assist people that are at their lowest, right? So she passes away, and he goes in and tells the management, hey, well, you know what? You still have to come up with the money. $1,100, no job, 3 kids, 15, 14, and 13. I don't know. So he's there, living in filth, because he never come to fix his apartment, leaks all the time. But, you think we have to settle because we're poor? We matter too. We're hardworking people. Not because we're poor, you're gonna treat us like that. And some people feel that they have to settle because that's how it is. They don't know any better. And the people in management, the people you train to be there should know better. They should be trained to be able to help these people that are less fortunate. You think we wanna be poor? You think we wanna be there? So they say you have to come up with this money until September. When you renew your lease, we put it under your name where we figure the income. Well, he has no income. This is 4 months already. Gets an eviction notice to vacate July 17. He's calling me, I don't know what to do. What do I do? Can you take some of the kids in? Mijo, we'll work it out. I said, this is not right. You went in there with good intentions to ask them, what can you do for me? Social programs, or I can get help. Nothing. Now, the people there always say, that's not my job. I'm a lease agent, I'm just here to list the apartment and collect your rent. No compassionate. We need more people. That is a social program. We need more people in there that can help, because the majority of those people living in those programs are in need. Okay, and so, obviously, no. You have behind 4 months. So right now, he needs to vacate on the 17th, $4,995 is what they're asking. Okay, 2 weeks ago, he gets a job for Kielbasa. I'm very proud of you, I know you're trying. I know, you're 32 years old, raising 3 kids, teenagers. You're 32. But what are we supposed to do with these kids? Throw them out in the street? Isn't that what we're trying to protect? I just can't see that happen. I can't. That's happening too much in our community, too much in this low-income housing, because they're so easy to just throw them out. There's mental health. There's poverty. There's a lot. So there's just got to be more understanding. Why don't we have any understanding? Somebody can understand. This is the type of people we need to have in there. And so, again, like I said, they're asking for $49.95 for him unless he gets out, leaves. Again, I thought this program was for what it was for. It was there for us. It's a government program, whatever program, but it is. I'm thinking that they should be more considerate. Again, like I said, I do have the pictures. Anybody's welcome to see the pictures. I live in that area. I pass by there every day. I see it. It's a field. I wish I could get up and clean it myself. But what are they doing? What is management doing? Who's looking over them? Somebody is collecting the money. Somebody knows what they're getting paid. Somebody knows something. Who do we go to? Who do we go to above to expose what's going on in our community? We're on the west side, we're poor, but we shouldn't live in filth. No respect. our life matters too.
Thank you, Ms. Herrera.
Thank you.
Our next citizen is Luisana Santibanez.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. I'm here representing the Coalition for Dignified Housing, a grassroots community-serving coalition that offers leadership development opportunities for residents while organizing for positive impact on local housing and community struggles in the historic west side of our city. I come here today to remind you all that Opportunity Home stands alone in its ability to provide deeply permanent, affordable housing to our city's most vulnerable families. Yes, is it important that families connect to opportunities for meaningful work and educational training? However, this should not be an either-or decision. Either we transition to RAD and waive HUD's longstanding tenant protections, or we lose it all. Opportunity Home can both continue to permanently secure affordability in rent and access to housing stability for low-income tenants, and it can seek creative funding structures like those afforded by newer development projects such as the one that we are meeting in at this very moment. While it is true that the city has grown and outpaced the number of units available for families, we urge you to reconsider privately financing additional publicly owned housing communities through the proposed RAD conversion at the Henry B. Gonzalez Apartments. Thanks to the leadership and advocacy of residents like Kayla Miranda, among other public housing champions like Terry Castillo, Opportunity Home has benefited from a substantial amount of local city public tax dollars that will be reinvested back into our aging housing stock. It is my understanding that this agency received among the highest award, so there is no doubt that many of us who love and defend public housing will continue to advocate for the commitment of future public dollars if a future bond or community development initiative were to take place. We also stand firm in our belief that residents and local nonprofits can play a major role in helping to maintain and improve housing disrepair if programs like Moving to Work, which trains around plumbing, HVAC, electrical, and construction expertise, can send its students for on-the-job training requirements on-site in public housing communities where their services are needed the most. Similar to programs created by Habitat for Humanity, Opportunity Homes should seek creative ways of addressing their maintenance backlog without turning to private developers or private investors for loans. We understand that the decision to convert several properties to RAD have already been made, despite much opposition, but with the proposal to add Henry to that list of conversion, Opportunity Home is sending the wrong message to our community, one that threatens the very existence of public housing and one of the country's poorest cities. Again, vote no to RAD, conversion to Henry B. Gonzalez, protect core tenant protections for tenants set forth by HUD, and keep public housing public. Thank you.
Our next citizen is Jasmine Herrera.
Hello, I'm Jasmine Herrera. Good evening. I'm with the Coalition for Dignified Housing and Historic Westside Resident Association. Housing authorities exist to provide safe, stable housing for most vulnerable families, not to make it easier for them to lose their homes. I urge you to narrow these proposed waivers and preserve strong tenant protections that help keep families housed. Stable housing strengthens our communities, protects children, seniors, and people with disabilities, and prevents unnecessary displacement. Please put residents first and keep these vital protections in place. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Our next citizen is Isabel Galvan. Isabel Galvan.
Start?
Yes.
Hi, I'm here to voice my concerns regarding the proposed Moving to Work Plan amendment. While we understand the need for funding to build new housing and the changing federal programs and policies, financial goals must not come at the expense of protecting low-income families. We urge the board to address three main issues in the current proposal. 1, protect essential rent rules. The proposal asks to completely waive key federal rent rules, dropping entire statutory sections, removes standard rules that cap rent at 30% of a family's income, and protects tenants from eviction during financial hardship. Please use targeted, narrow adjustments instead of broad waivers. 2, prevent unchecked expansion. The plan hints that these waivers could apply to future projects without clear boundaries. This sets a risky precedent for expanding flat rents across future properties without public oversight. The board should strictly limit these changes to designated restore, rebuild projects. And 3, add strong tenant safeguards. Setting rents to maximum tax credit limits risks overburdening families with extremely low income. Opportunity Homes must commit to building safeguards, extend hardship rent relief beyond 30 days whenever income loss continues, guarantee trauma-informed financial counseling to income residents to ensure that they truly and fully understand what they are agreeing to. Just giving someone a fact sheet or information packet and assuming that they understand is not enough. And then lastly, report annually on hardship approval rates, rent burdens, and evictions specifically tied to those units. Housing authorities exist to protect vulnerable families from housing instability. Please narrow these waivers and keep strong protections in place for our community. Thank you.
That concludes our citizens signed up to speak.
Thank you. I will move on to approval of the June 3rd, 2026 regular board meeting minutes. Is there any discussion regarding those meeting minutes? Since there isn't, I request a motion to approve the June 3rd, 2026 regular board meeting minutes. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
First and second. Since there is no additional discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. And now we will enter into the public hearing. Public hearing regarding Resolution 6954.
Yes, and so this is an opportunity for a public hearing regarding the Lakeside Loss Development. And if anyone has, this is the Lakeside Loss Development. We always have a public hearing when there's bonds issued. And so if anyone speaks up against the development, they have the opportunity to do so. I don't think anyone has spoken up or written that they're going to be speaking about this. And so if there's no comments, then we can close the public comment period.
There are no citizens signed up to speak.
Okay, we will close this public hearing at this time. We will now move on to individual items. Item number 5, consideration and approval regarding Resolution 6954, authorizing the Las Varas Public Facility Corporation Multifamily Housing Revenue Notes, Lakeside Loss Series 2026, and the San Antonio Housing Facility Corporation's participation in the Lakeside Loss transaction. Senior Director of Development Services and Neighborhood Revitalization, Jared, welcome.
Okay.
We're doing a little bit of a transition.
Oh, okay.
Just 1 minute.
Sure, thank you.
I would like to take a moment just to thank the residents here at Snowden who came to attend and who are still attending. I know that these meetings are long, believe me. We know they're long, and there's a lot of items on the agenda, but it really does help us to listen to the comments from residents. So thank you all for being here and for those of you who spoke. Yes, take a sandwich.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Jared Thiereth. I'm the Director of Development Services at Opportunity Home. My department's going to speak about 4 items today, one of which is Lakeside Lost coming up. I'll present 2, this one as well as another one, HB Gonzalez, later in the session. And my counterpart, Nicholas Delaney, will also present 2 items that are non-tax credit acquisitions. We plan to use the proceeds from these 2 acquisitions to help fund our repositioning efforts, such as Henry B. Gonzalez, that as I mentioned, I'll be speaking on later this session. With that being said, the first item is Lakeside Lost. We're seeking the approval for a development of a multifamily project, the acquisition, construction, financing, operation of a 4% tax credit deal known as Lakeside Lost. This is the 4th time this item has come before you guys, before the board. The first being October of 2024, the second being, thanks, yeah, sorry. I can bring the whole thing up. Thanks. Sorry about that. This is the fourth time that this item has come before the board. The first time was in October of 2024 for approval. The second time was in April 2025 last year to negotiate an MOU. And then act as a general partner. Most recent, April 1st, for the permanent lender. A few months ago, we are bringing this item back to change out the permanent lender from Freddie Mac to Affordable Housing HAF SPV 8 LLC. The deal is between NRP Group and San Antonio Housing Facility Corporation and will specify mutually agreed upon deal terms. The Las Varas Public Facility Corporation will provide up to $45 million in construction loan, and the projected closing date is August 20th, which is a little over 2 weeks from 2 weeks from tomorrow, so by the end of this month. So here's some items, a few of which I've just mentioned, a couple more to point out. Financial closing is, as I mentioned, is this month or the end of this month. With construction start, it's listed as August. That may roll into September, so still a month, a little bit over a month away. Pre-leasing and then construction completion, you can see those dates up there, September 28 and then May of 29. Those might be a little conservative, so it might be a little bit quicker than that. Stabilization, it's not listed here, but we are estimating approximately 15 months on lease up, and then the conversion and final endorsement will happen shortly thereafter. Here's a map of the community. As you can see, it's almost due east of downtown, just outside Loop 410 and just south of 87. It's served by East Central High School as well as East Central ISD. And then Teeler Park is directly west of this site, literally just right across the street. Further away from the community is the Frost Bank Arena, Southside Lions Park, and then Fort Sam Houston as well. This is City Council District 2, Jayla McKee Rodriguez. As I mentioned, it's served by East Central ISD and High School. 336 units, and it's served anywhere from 30 to 70% AMI. The unit mix, and what I like about this project or this community is it's going to be very family oriented. If you look at the 1-beds, there's only 12, which is it's very uncommon and it's very little. Conversely, if you look at the 3s and the 4s, particularly the 3-bedroom units, 132 plus the 48 4-beds, that's well over 150 units. So this is going to be a very family-friendly community, which I think is rare and few and far between. So I really like that about this community. Obviously, it's new construction, as I mentioned, and then total development costs are expected to be less than $90 million. Proceeds from this project will help support very low-income residents by preserving, expanding, and sustaining affordable housing and resident services, including the items on the right, one of which I want to point out is the funding budget gaps in affordable housing projects. As I mentioned at the beginning of this, I preface that deals such as this one, and as well as the two that Nicholas Delaney will speak about, help fund our low to lower income communities. Any questions?
Just one question, and you mentioned that East Central is the school district with this many family units. I assume that there's capacity at the schools for new students?
I believe there should be. Jason, do you mind? Yeah. Jason Archega with NRP Group.
Thank you.
So that East Central School District had representatives, including the superintendent, at our neighborhood meetings. And when I talked to them afterwards, they said, we're prepared for, we plan for this, is in other words. So I don't know if they ever said we're 100% in favor or against it, but they said, we plan for this, we're ready for it.
That's great. Thank you very much.
I have a question also regarding school. So when you talk to East Central and you talk to management, or did you talk to the principals?
The superintendent.
Superintendent?
The superintendent, and we also, I believe, the principal of Sinclair Elementary School was also at that community meeting.
Okay.
Okay?
I have a question on transportation. Is that directed to you?
There are 2 bus stops located directly on the site. One of the bus stops goes, it's not the Primo, but it's not the hourly either. And then one of the other bus stops is dedicated to go, if you're familiar, there's an HEB distribution center that's about, I don't know, 3/4 of a mile to the northeast, and that's the one that's recently been expanded to include a whole lot of jobs. There's a dedicated bus stop that runs from there to there in the morning and in the afternoons. That's the secondary bus stop. It's the reason why there's 2. Okay. And then there's a primary bus stop with a bench. And if I'm not mistaken, it does have a covering, but there are 2 bus stops on the property.
Just south of the site?
They literally they share a border with the site.
Yes, I saw. I think it's Route 30, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, I
believe it's Route 30.
At that point, I don't know.
And it is accessible as far as ramp access and, well, because some bus stops, they're not accessible. There's no ramp access.
I'm trying to picture the site plan in my head. It should be, yes, because, so anytime we develop anything with tax credits, so every building has to have accessible access to and from the community center and each other and outside the property. And then I do know that that's on sidewalks, and all the sidewalks have to be done graded to ADA accessibility. So again, I don't want to, because part of that city of San Antonio, I just don't know if I can 100% speak for that. But if it isn't, it's something that we can also address, and I can get together with Jared and Tim and Michael, and we can make sure that if that's a concern, if that is a concern, and it should be, then we'll get that addressed.
But you did answer my main question. Y'all were ready for me.
I jumped the gun.
You were ready for me. That's okay.
I was ready. Sorry, what's up?
Thank you. So will East Central have school buses that will pick up the kids at the apartments?
I don't know. I think that with the elementary school, it's close enough where it won't trigger the school bus. For the high school, I believe it will, but I can step in the back and I can look that up on my phone. Typically with the school districts, usually if you're within a certain distance of the elementary school and it's very close to Sinclair, it's within the neighborhood, so it doesn't go to any outside streets. The school districts, they'll have the kids walk to the school, because I think if it's like 4 or 5 blocks away from the actual elementary school itself.
And how's the traffic on those streets?
On those streets, it's a neighborhood street, so it's all single-family residential. There's nothing that's coming in off that. Off Rigsby would be ridiculous, but they would not be walking on Rigsby.
Okay.
Any other questions?
No other questions? Thank you. Okay, if there be no other questions, I'm going to go ahead and call for a motion to approve Resolution 6954. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
I have a first. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, first and second. Being no additional questions, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Item number 6, consideration and approval regarding Resolution 6963, authorizing the proposed 2026-2027 Moving to Work Agency Plan Amendment, Nicholas Tennessee, MTW, and Strategy Analyst. Welcome.
Thank you. Alrighty, good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Nicholas Tennessee, MTW Strategy Analyst with the Strategy, Data, and Innovation, or SDI Department. So today we're going to be presenting Resolution 6963 for consideration and approval. This is a resolution authorizing the submission of our FY 26-27 Moving to Work Plans amendment to HUD. And so to ground us briefly before we review the specific amendment details, I do want to go over the Moving to Work or MTW designation that Opportunity Home has. So this designation is what gives our organization the unique ability to design locally tailored housing solutions and deliver our mission, vision, and values in ways that are more flexible and different than other standard operating public housing agencies. So unlike traditional public housing agencies, the designation does give us two fundamental tools through HUD. One of them is regulatory waivers, which is the authority to waive certain statutory public housing and voucher rules. And the second is funding fungibility, which is the flexibility to combine our operating capital and voucher funds into a block grant, which then supports innovative local strategies every single year. And so the statutory objectives that we have to achieve through our MTW or Move to Work designation are achieving greater cost efficiency or effectiveness with our federal dollars, increasing housing choice for our low-income families, and giving incentives to families at work-able households to achieve self-sufficiency. So everything that we propose and operate under this MTW designation has to achieve one of those three statutory objectives, if not more, before it is approved by HUD. And so going over the timeline as a quick refresher, our annual cycle, we are sort of out of our annual cycle right now. So our team begins planning every fall at the end of every year, October through December. And then from there we develop a draft of the MTW plan, which is usually a little over 100 pages long, of all the plans that we, as a housing authority, how we plan to operate under this MTW designation. It then is posted for a 30-day public comment period, usually in mid-February. And throughout the end of February and March, we go into various forms of public outreach across our communities, and then also hold public hearing. And then from there, the public comment period closes in mid-March. We finalize the draft and bring it to our April board for your consideration and approval before submission to HUD. And then from there, we wait for HUD approval, with hopeful HUD approval before July 1st for implementation at the start of our fiscal year. So right now, this brings us to specific updates that have to happen so when this specific updates have to happen mid-cycle, it requires us to execute an additional formal amendment process with an additional 30-day public comment period, and then bring that here to you to amend our ongoing FY27 MTW plan. And so that's what brings us here today. So before we get into the specific amendment that is being proposed, I do want to emphasize a very critical point. So the proposed MTW activity and changes to the Appendix I do not apply to any current public housing residents, nor does it alter the rules or rent calculation for any existing households whatsoever. So the proposed FY 2026-2027 activity is being added to our FY 27 plan, is titled FY 2026-2. That's a type. It's titled Local Project-Based Voucher Subsidy for Tax Credit Developments. So what this activity is doing, it is purely forward-looking. It is designed to help us recapture previously lost public housing units through HUD's Restore Rebuild initiative, formerly called the Faircloth to RAD initiative. It is helping us to bring back online units that have been offline for the past few years, to bring back these units as deeply affordable homes within our existing mixed income household or mixed income portfolio. So specifically, this will create a flat subsidy structure, an income band for units in these tax credit developments. And so, as you may be aware, HUD unexpectedly announced the wind down and elimination of the Restore Rebuild program earlier in May. And so our application was submitted immediately prior to that cutoff. And so what we are doing as an organization is aggressively working to recapture these units before they are fully lost after the operational wind down of this program by HUD. And so what this is doing is assisting us in setting predictable flat rent bands so that we can leverage higher permanent debt to close the financing gaps on bringing these units back online. And so next, the other specific change that is happening is we are changing the Appendix I, which is our repositioning and redevelopment, Section 18. appendix that lists sites that are potential sites to be applied for repositioning in fiscal year 27. So as you may know, there was 4 sites listed on our FY 26-27 MTW plan initially that was approved by you back in by the board in April and submitted to HUD on April 14th. Those sites were Terrytown, Villahermosa, Westway, and the Lofts at Marie McGuire. What we are doing is adding 1 additional public housing unit to this appendix. That will be the Henry B. Gonzalez apartment complex. This is 51 units of elderly disabled, and it will be joining the list of the other 4 sites for a total of 5 sites for potential application in FY27 for repositioning. This just allows us to formally apply for conversion, and then our development team will follow all HUD regulations in terms of keeping residents up to date, letting staff know what the plan is, and then submitting formal applications to HUD, which is a month, sometimes year-long process. And so all this is doing, adding it in our MTW plan, is alerting HUD to the fact that we may apply for conversion. So going over the public comments, we did conduct a full 30-day public comment period from July 3rd through August 2nd. We notified the Resident Advisory Board members, or RAB members, via email on July 10th, and then issued a formal notice to all residents in our public housing and HCV program on July 13th. And then we did hold a public hearing on July 21st at our central office boardroom it was a hybrid meeting, so there was in-person and online attendance options. We also do post our email publicly, which is mtw@homesa.org, just for the public to submit their comments. And then the public can also submit physical comments to our address at 818 South Flores. And all of these amendment documents are hosted on our website throughout the year at homesa.org/MTW. There were also physical flyers sent to public housing property managers to post on their front doors to alert residents who may not have seen the email of this ongoing public comment period. And so going over the final numbers for our public comment period, there were a total of 3 comments received before the April 2nd, 5 p.m. deadline. At our public hearing, there were 15 attendees, and the outcome after receiving all the comments and reviewing them is no changes were made to the final amendment. And current residents will not be affected in any way by the proposed amendment as a whole, and will not be affected by the proposed MTW activity. And then just to give you a little bit of notice as to what happens with HB Gonzalez, our development team did kick off preliminary information sessions at the apartment complex, just as they're doing with the other 4 sites that were initially listed in the RAD appendix. Staff were met with on Tuesday, April 28th, and then residents were initially met with on Tuesday, May 12th. And these meetings are strictly informational and preliminary to address resident questions and concerns and let them know of the plan well ahead of time. As formal application begins and conversion processes begin, additional meetings will be held with residents to keep them informed at every step of the process. And so next steps, once the board approves, if the board approves this today, we will submit this amendment to HUD for approval. Following HUD approval, we will incorporate the final amendment into the originally submitted FY 26-27 MTW plan. And so we ask for approval of Resolution 6963, and if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Any questions?
I do have a question. Was Restore Rebuild terminated prior to issuing I think we issued an RFQ or an RFP for the Henry B. Gonzalez development partner. Did we know about the changes in HUD program structure prior to that?
Thank you. Brad McMurray, Chief Asset Management Officer. I'm getting involved in this. Whoops. Actually, the Restore Rebuild, those deadlines that came out where they had the deadline to submit the NAR on May 12th and then the August 13th is coming up, that's just for a separate piece. So that's, the Faircloth to RAD or the Restore Rebuild. Our repositioning is actually separate from that. So I believe the RFP came out before, but the two are really not connected directly.
Okay, thank you.
And Commissioners, if I can just add, as we went through this presentation and as I heard public comments, I think I realized what we did. We combined this in one presentation. They look like they're connected, and they're in no way connected. Those are 2 separate things. Restore Rebuild is to bring back public housing units. Those 1,744 that we've lost over 3 decades is to bring them back online. So if you support public housing and you want more public housing, you should be supportive of Restore Rebuild. And the Second Amendment has nothing to do with Restore Rebuild. This is just an additional property to look at repositioning. So those are 2 separate items. And as we were going to the presentation, I can see how they're linked, but they're not linked.
So just to be clear, where the changes to Restore Rebuild would have nothing to do with the 4, now 5 projects that have been identified as potentials projects for RAD, and that none of the safeguards that were presented to us when we approved the RAD pilot have changed in any way.
They have not changed. These are 2 separate items.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for the clarity, because I needed it before I could even go forward with the rest of what we were about to do. There were so many concerns, and I wish our public could have had that clarity going forward, because it really is a mind flip when you think about what we're trying to do, what we need to do, versus the concerns that are out there, not just for current residents, but for future, and those safeguards being removed. So we are specifically in this moment talking about the rebuilding of things that have been offline so we can provide more public housing, which is our need right now.
We want more
Correct?
public housing. We need more public housing. Restore Rebuild brings those units back online, and they're income-based with a project-based voucher, which means folks pay 30% of their income. And so it boggles my mind why anyone would want to oppose bringing more public housing units back online after we've been missing them for 30 years, roughly. I'm reminded of the adage of no good deed goes unpunished. This is a good thing. We're trying to do the right thing, but I'm reminded of the implicit bias that's out there for this organization. No matter what it does and its good intentions, it will be criticized. And so I hope the board will keep their moral compass in that we are doing the right thing for people. We serve people. We serve 50,000 people, half of which are children. We are doing the right thing, and we have to move forward in that spirit. And putting more public housing units online is a good thing.
So,
If I just may, just to add that, and then I'm done. Also, just making sure that we're very clear on what we're doing, because there seems to be maybe some conflict or confusion on what we're trying to do versus what was stated out there, because the concerns are very valid. They are very, very valid about these safeguards being removed or the protection not being there. So I'm glad that that clarity came. Thank you.
I just want to build on that real quick and just make sure, and maybe it is the positioning of the slide, but slide 7 or page 30, the activity, the proposed new activity under moving to work, that the comment that Opportunity Home is aggressively working to recapture as many of those previously lost units, sort of a translation into English, is that through the years, over decades, we do not have as many functioning safety and sanitary units as we are allowed. Because this program has been wound down at the federal level, we are doing everything we can over the next few months to get as many of those lost units brought back into operation before that program is eliminated and we no longer have, okay, thank you.
Can I add to both of their comments and ask that very high arching overview of how this particular activity does that? Because maybe that's what we need to understand, and the public needs to understand, is how this particular activity aggressively helps us recapture those public units.
I've actually got some great information to share with you in items 8 and 9, but I'm happy to share it now because I see the importance of bringing it. Basically, we have, the repositioning, which is RAD. And then we have the separate, just as Mr. Ray has alluded to, that we have the Faircloth to RAD, or the Restore Rebuild as it's been rebranded. And so with that idea, what they're doing is, you had this program available for many, many years. The problem was that the subsidy that was tied to it is very, very small. It's similar to what we've talked about with the repositioning. The RAD units are very, very small subsidies, so it's hard to operate a unit. However, in the repositioning, you can do the 90-10 blend, where you get the Section 18 rents that are much, much higher. You do basically a blended rate where 10% is at RAD and 90% is at this much higher rate that actually makes it work in cash flow. Well, in the Restore, Rebuild, or the Faircloth to RAD, you just get the regular subsidy. And so with that standpoint, nobody was using it. Then we had, through Dew and Associates, our consultant, there was a housing authority that came up with an idea that we could take that subsidy, we could layer it over an existing tax credit rent. And so what in effect would do there is that where you have a 60% rent that possibly is not being occupied, you could layer that subsidy over it and lower the rent to the resident to a 30% level. You'd still have a 60% unit, but you wouldn't have any kind of negative impact to the pro forma, because you're going to get to combine that subsidy with the portion that the tenant pays. So we're in effect creating more 30% AMI units. That was the idea. Unfortunately, at the same time, when we learned about this and jumped on it under Mr. Reyes' direction, because I'm like, we got plenty to do, and he said, no, we got to jump on this. I have learned so much from it, and it's been a very valuable situation for me. But from that standpoint, there were deadlines that the administration continues to put in, whereas before, for a NAR, which is a Notice of Availability of RAD Rents, called a NAR, you could get that whenever, you could hold it for 9 years, it was no big deal. They just artificially said, May 12th, no more. Then once you had that NAR, you were able to do what's called a mixed finance development proposal, which is your big plan to put the whole deal together. It takes 9 months to put together. And they said, nope, you got to have it by August 13th. To our advantage, and I can talk more about that later, the staff is allowing some ways to make that work, because it's not workable. And so from that standpoint, we've stepped forward. But the reality is that that subsidy really doesn't provide much. And I'll talk more about it in these items, where we're going to go for the 90-10 blend to get exactly what Mr. Ray has referred to. But the two are separate. The administration is trying to kill the program. It's not the way development should be done, but we're doing everything we can to make sure we don't lose those Faircloth units. Now, some people have proposed, hey, the administration doesn't have the power to kill a congressional program. They can't do this. They just make it impossible to use. People are offering ideas like, well, hey, if the subsidy's low, what if we got a 2-for-1? So you lose 2 of your Faircloth units, but you get double the subsidy. Well, that's a great idea, but Congress has to pass that, and there's a lot of people that are against it. So we're doing everything we can, and we apologize that it's such a quick thing and that these things are happening so quickly, but we have no choice. I just have to say that I'm very, very impressed with the team that's been put together before I got here. They're doing an exceptional job, and we're actually making these deadlines. But there's no guarantee that the administration won't come up with a deadline that we can't meet, but we're doing everything we can to preserve these Faircloth units.
I just want to dig a little deeper into something you said to make sure that I understand. There is a distinction between when there are voucher holders, like a current tenant that would convert to basically the equivalent of a project-based voucher. When that resident becomes a voucher holder, their rent is limited to 30% of their income. That does not change under RAD. When you talk about the idea that you're creating these new bands and that rents can go higher, that is for the purposes of pro formas and for the reimbursement of of a fair market rent by the agency and ultimately by the housing authority. That is not an assumption that the voucher holder is going to be paying a 60% tax credit rent.
That's exactly right. And to make an additional differentiation, in repositioning, you are creating PBB, the project-based voucher, or the PRAC in the project. This is a bit different. This is where you're converting it to a Section 8 subsidy that's given in a block, and so you assign it as you choose to. It's not actually tied to an individual. What we're suggesting is confusing because there's the 30% of a person's income, but I was speaking towards a 30% AMI rent. So we've got an existing project that we have high 60% rents and aren't being leased in some cases. We could, through this program, be able to take that block that wouldn't be assigned to anybody, but just the property, and then lower individuals' rents so that it's lower. And we just use the example of 30%. It wouldn't be an income-based in this situation because it's not actually a PBV. It would just be the creation of more 30% AMI units.
But you're not suggesting that we would convert an existing public housing unit to a non-PBV or PRAC or tax credit rent unit?
You're exactly right, and I misunderstood. You cannot put restore, rebuild units on an existing subsidy. So the 48 units at San Juan 2, for example, and the 46 at San Juan 1, those are out of the calculations. These would be on unsubsidized units is where we'd be placing them. So the two are not connected at all. I misunderstood.
Thank you.
And Commissioner, I could just expand. Those are our affordable housing communities, so they're not the subsidized properties.
Understand. Thank you.
Any other questions?
I would like to ask,
Sure.
and this may be for the next one, I'm not sure, but the opposition of waiving entire sections of the regulations for these to go forward. Did you mention that in your presentation?
I
earlier?
did not. No.
You did not?
Mm-hmm.
Anything about the regulations?
Yes. So the actual proposal did state which regulations would be waived, and this is pulled, as Brad mentioned, from other housing authorities who have done the same thing. We were, since it was such a quick turnaround time, we essentially had to match what they were citing, and so the authorizations that we would be looking to waive, as stated, are 24 CFR 5.628, and then Section 802AC of the 1937 Housing Act. These are just needed waivers in order to implement these income bands for these specific units. It would not change. It would not change current, existing residence rents or regulations or policies or how they operate. It would be for these units specifically.
So some of those, okay. Can there be any waiver set for these instead of just just being concerned with the concerns that were voiced, right? Are there waivers to any part of this instead of just completely having to let them go to accomplish this? Are there any waivers that can be set to that so they're not all completely let go?
Not to my understanding, since the way that this activity, when activities get proposed to HUD, they have to review the entirety of what you're looking to waive, and they will determine, whether to approve it or not. Since it's been approved at other housing authorities, it doesn't blanket allow us to waive this entirety of the regulation. It just allows us to waive whatever regulations would stop this activity from going into effect. It's very specific to this activity. So when HUD approves it, they're not approving a blanket waiver of an entire, full chapter of regulations. They're just approving it for the purposes of this specific activity.
And I think that's where the community's concern is coming in, is to do it, we have to, it's just a blanket.
Mm-hmm.
But they're wanting it just feels like, I guess, the removal of safeguards. If the whole thing is waived and there's nothing that can be done, you have to waive the entire thing in order for this to pass?
For submission to HUD, yes, because HUD will be the final determiners of, which regulations are approved to be waived. But as I stated, yeah, for public purposes, it is not, since this is tied specifically to the activity, it doesn't get incorporated into our current policies or regulations that we operate under, that HUD operates under. It does not get incorporated as a blanket removal of waivers from our current operations. It's just a waiver in order to implement this specific activity for these specific units to come back online.
Thank you for answering my question.
Considering that you are modeling this activity specifically based on other housing authorities going before us, is there any takeaways, negative or positive, with the utilization or the implementation of this activity that you could share with us that helps kind of set minds at ease?
Yes, so we spoke in length with the main housing authority that we're modeling this after is San Bernardino in California. And so we spoke with them at length to determine, how this activity is going with them. All it is helping them do is bring back those restore rebuild units. It's, as I stated, it doesn't change anything for existing residents. It's just helping them for the financing gaps in order to bring these units back online at their existing. So really there is only pros to it in terms of bringing back units that otherwise would not be able to be brought back without something.
How long has this been in implementation with them?
They implemented it in 2022.
Okay, so
2022. 4 years ago.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you.
Can I circle back on another piece of this? I know we've been talking about the restore, rebuild, and trying to take advantage of that. But I'd like to look at the repositioning, redevelopment, the addition of the Henry B. Gonzalez property there. And I thought it was a very interesting suggestion that as we proceed, and the board, of course, will be paying close attention to these kind of pilot repositioning sites, that, and I realize we're far out from actual activity on these sites, but there were a number, the councilwoman's suggestion around a number of, almost like a dashboard to help us monitor whether there are loss of units like the rent burden, evictions, and hardship approvals. I'd like to suggest, and I don't know whether this needs to be included in the motion, but I would like to suggest that as this activity gets underway, that the board does get, and it can be a written report on those factors, just so that we can monitor the implementation of the program.
Yes, Commissioner, absolutely. We're actually working on that because we had talked about a public-facing dashboard so folks can monitor. In addition to the Group 2037 group, that is a group of public stakeholders to make sure they're in lockstep in terms of what we're doing and they're not surprised about every action we're taking.
Absolutely. I think that, just as the speaker talked about the idea that we've got a great swimming pool out here, but now there's some noise issues, I think there may very well be unintended consequences as we move forward with. I just unfortunately don't think we have any other options right now with the conditions. I mean, it was heartbreaking to hear about the conditions at some of our properties, and it always is. And so, as I've said to someone, a lot of us take for granted that if you own your house, you can borrow money to fix it up, but we can't do that. And this is one of the ways that we can do that. So I'm glad that we're continuing to evaluate properties. But I do think it's really important for us to be completely transparent about the impacts and for the board to be aware also. Thank you.
Absolutely, and if I can just add, Commissioners, in a few minutes you'll hear a resolution where we're bringing a nonprofit partner to Henry B. Gonzalez to help us with the repositioning process, and that was intentional to bring a nonprofit partner. But we'll talk about it more in a few minutes.
Nicholas, one more thing, and this is just to refresh my memory and maybe some other folks. Could you remind us how we came to this list of 5 sites for the repositioning and redevelopment ask to HUD, and why we added Henry B. to that?
Again, we apologize for the presentation. Henry B. is actually separate from the restore rebuild.
Yes,
so
this is for repositioning and redevelopment.
Okay. I'm so sorry.
We moved to the next part.
Misunderstood the question.
Sorry.
Good afternoon. I'm Lorraine Robles. I'm the Chief Officer over Development and Real Estate. And with regard to your question, so we worked not only with our tax credit consultant, but also with our staff and pulled together our portfolio of public housing and started to do assessments. And because different projects had already been going on previously, we brought all that into play to determine which ones could we move on that would cause as least disruption as possible, but gain a large benefit from it. And so that's how we determined the first 5. Now, HB Gonzalez, when we first looked at it, because it's senior, 51 units, we knew because of its physical condition, it was going to need to come down. They're in a floodplain, and that was never rectified when it was built, and so it was kind of like grandfathered in, but it needs to be corrected or the buildings will continue to deteriorate. We were originally going to do Section 18, and so we were going to apply for disposition, relocate all the residents out, demo, and then rebuild. An opportunity came to us that there was potential for utilizing a different site. There's vacant land around that particular site that's well within half a mile. And so we issued an RFP for developers who would come in as a merchant developer. So come in, bring us some land that's in close proximity to the property so that we could build first and the residents would only have one move. And so with that opportunity, and you're going to hear about it in a few minutes, is we selected a developer to do this. The property that they brought to us is less than half a mile. It's right around the corner. And so this will allow for our residents to stay in place. And we've probably met with them 3 times already. But we continue this conversation. And those are all informal. We haven't even started RAD. We're going to start RAD after this. Making sure that they understand what's happening, and they're very excited. But this, again, will allow us to build first and then provide them a one-time move to their new unit.
Perfect, thank you.
You're welcome.
Do we have any additional questions? Okay, since there are no questions, I'm going to go ahead and call for a motion to approve Resolution 6963. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
I have a first and a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Motion passes. Item number 7, consideration and approval regarding Resolution 6956, authorizing the Artisan at Creekside Project easement transaction and the San Antonio Housing Facility Corporation's approval of the easement transaction. Brad McMurray, Chief Asset Management Officer.
Hello, yes, I'm Brad McMurray, Asset Management Officer. This has nothing to do with restore, rebuild, or repositioning. This is actually a partnership with the City of San Antonio to try to mitigate some flooding that we're experiencing on near I-35 and I-10 and Pendleton or San Marcos. It's part of the Frio City Road Outfall Phase 1 project, and it's at Artisan at Creekside. And just to give you a quick refresher on Artisan at Creekside, it's 252 units. It's 100% affordable. It's 60% AMIs, and it's located in District 5. And this is not going to have any effect on its affordability. It's totally separate. It has to do with Public Works. And then on the next slide, you can see where it's located. The block dot is where the project is located, and it's just west of I-10, I-35 right there on San Marcos. And then the next page. And basically what we've got is they, in doing some of the flood control in the streets, they couldn't do it on the access road at I-35 because TxDOT said, no, we're not going to let you. So the next best thing was to see if they could do it onto our property. If you go to the next slide real quick, you can see there that the access at the top of the page is the interstate access road. The red part is showing where they are buying the easement, or you're considering selling it to them. And that is where, instead of in the street where it would be preferred, they need to take it because TxDOT won't let them. And so if you look at this, you can see that that one corner on the right-hand side of the property is very close to our leasing office. And so we want to be a good partner, but if we could go back to the prior slide, we wanted to make sure that it didn't cost us anything. And so what they identified was that the total value of the property, which they get to determine, and it's going to be the easement. We'll still own the property. They have a right to put their infrastructure there, is $18,030. But we have to go through legal expenses, so we had them add another $2,500 to cover that. Basically, what they've agreed to do is to accept all responsibility for any damages, environmental claims, injuries that could result, any from their construction activities or anything that they do. They're going to provide insurance while they're on the property, and they're also going to return it to its original condition or better. They're going to put up traffic things because it will affect us for a period where the timing of this is with your approval. They would like to issue a RFP for the GC at the end of August. They expect to have one identified and start the project in December. The first part of the project would be in the access road at I-10. That would go for about 6 months. Then they anticipate a 9 to 12-month period where they'd be on our property. That is an inconvenience. But then after that, they would have about 6 months on the Pendleton, which is to the right of the property. The benefit is that currently that area floods, so that's a negative to our residents that will be corrected. So it's just one of those issues with construction, that it's no fun at first, but it leads to something good. And so basically, if we go to the next slide, again, that's what they're planning. That's where they'd be. They're going to put everything back. So did you all have any questions or concerns?
Just to clarify, this is a closed drainage system, not an open culvert.
Exactly.
Okay, any other questions? All right, I will go ahead and call for a motion to approve Resolution 6956. Do I have a first?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
I have a first and second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Items number 8 and 9, consideration and approval regarding Resolution 6969, authorizing the Las Varas Public Facility Corporation to approve a resolution authorizing reassignment of carry-forward designation for the Bristol at the Preserve and Augustine at Palo Alto apartment projects. Brad McMurray, you're still up.
Thank you. Yes, these are the two items that have to do with the Restore Rebuild project applications, and there's two pieces to it. We talked about, the first part is, we talked about the Restore Rebuild. Happy to answer any additional questions on that. But one of the things that we thought about is there's the benefit of layering over the subsidy, but as we talked about, and that would bring down rents for residents, but we also talked about the fact that if you do a 90-10 blend, then you have the ability to actually get really high rents. It's no additional cost to the resident. But through that 90-10 blend, we would qualify if we do significant construction work. And because this property is about in year 18, we've already taken it to the Affordable Housing Communities portfolio. It seems like it could be a good opportunity. It's something that we're talking about. To do that and get those higher rents, we have to do significant work. We have to do basically about $118,000 per unit in rehab. We've got a list of things that we're still working on because we've kind of put the end at the beginning because of the administration's deadlines. But basically in this, we would go forward, and to fund it, we're going to do a 4% tax credit application. Well, we'd also like to do 221D4 debt, which takes a while to do. It's very hard to do with a typical bond reservation. We've been told that and found out at the TAP conference that there's a lot of bond reservation that's available. The deals are not penciling right now, but we have these unique circumstances that make it work. We can do, with the approval to the MTW plan and HUD's approval, we can charge these higher rents, not to the residents, but to HUD. And so from that standpoint, we have the ability to make a deal work. The problem is that 180 days is very difficult with the HUD financing. And we have carry forward, which in essence just means we have 3 years to close it. It's something in high demand, but now we've got some on projects that aren't moving forward. So we're asking in this first resolution, the 6969, to just reassign that and reassign it to the projects that we plan to go forward on this. And so that's basically all that's happening on 6969.
I'm sorry, I do have a question.
Go ahead.
Sure.
So, in my experience with 221D4, which is limited, thankfully, is that it is a laborious process that can take many more months than a typical financing structure, and that's not because of the lack of capacity on lender side. It's that going through HUD approval process can be very slow. So given what you have said about, oh, now this is due May this, and oh, now we're terminating this on this date, do we have any assurances that as we progress through the stages of the 221D4 application that HUD will be timely in their approval and their...
It's a great question, and it is a concern. What you raise is what we're fearful of. You know, they never had a deadline for
Good,
NAR.
so we're all scared of the same thing.
Well, yeah.
That's all.
Well, they
We're all
never
on
had
the
a
same
deadline for NARS. They never had a deadline for the finance proposal. They've never had a deadline for closing, if they come up with something with closing. Now, along that line, just fortunately, Lorraine and I were able to talk to a lender that we were introduced to, and one of the things is getting through this and getting letters, and we've got those from Wells Fargo with the 221D4, but we have the ability to change that, and there's some loans out there. The benefit of the 221D4 is not that we like damage with HUD, but the fact that it's a 40-year amortization and a 40-year term. We can get a 40-year amortization and possibly a 45. It's going to be an 18-year term, which is not as good, but it makes the deal work, and it's not through HUD. It's through CBRT, and again, we see that they could be a great partner going forward in repositioning. We're also talking to a number of groups, Rocky Mountain, I've forgotten the full name, but so we're looking at everybody, but what you bring up is a great point, and we're trying to find alternatives. It's just this is the application to get through the door and maintain the units.
So the only comment I would make on that is, and it's not, obviously I'm not the expert here, but just looking at that 18-year term and presumably the balloon or the refi that has to happen after the term, and thinking about the compliance period and whether we're going to end up with too many moving parts hitting it about the same time to make sure that the asset just making sure that we have a strong asset management program in place so that at year 18 we have an asset that's in good enough shape for us to make the transition to the second set of financing, this kind of refi.
Absolutely, and that's one of the things, you know, it's still in the infancy, but we really want to see, you bring up a great point. We are trying to look forward and realize that it's getting, you have to distinguish yourself in the market, and certainly in submarkets. There's a great need for affordable housing. Not enough is built, but in some areas there's some saturation. And so from that standpoint, we want to make sure we can differentiate ourselves. Some of the things that we're looking at is a potential home ownership path, just some ideas that are just ideas right now. But from that standpoint, to be able to ensure that we have 100% occupancy, we have people that aren't tearing up the property, and then that way we could actually not use our replacement reserve to do, you know, basically, you know, repairs to the property because it's not being taken care of. We can actually do it for capital improvements. So we don't have that in place yet, but we agree with you 100%, and that's where we're headed.
Just that is one of the things that I know that the board, over time, over the past few years, as I've been on the board, that we heard about properties that we had to de-accession from the portfolio. And I think no one wants to see that, and you know, having that had an impact on our liquidity. So I think I love the creativity, but just to make sure that we've now integrated that asset management mentality into all of our, not saying that we hadn't before, but that we, I think, have acquired a lot of expertise. You have acquired all this expertise to allow us to ensure that as these properties transition, they're maintaining their value, and that we're not, that the revenue that we're realizing from these pretty sophisticated financing structures is going back to helping our other properties as a cross subsidy, as opposed to being drained away in repair on the refied property.
Absolutely.
And I'm sorry to be lecturing about that, but we
No,
spent so many
important.
hours talking about that in
Previous meetings.
in looking at properties that property sales. Okay.
I do have a question, and I don't know if it's a silly one, but is there any projections as to how many more affordable units with this, these two proposals that will be added?
Yes, what we're looking at is we've got it, so that's the first one is 6969 to assign
Right.
the carryover. Then the other one is 6970, which is actually these applications. If we could go back one slide. So what we started off with, and when I embarrassed myself and got up here, I thought you were asking about how we came up with this list of original applications. And basically, we were looking at those that have vacancies, those that had the most information available. We didn't want to be this ambitious, but the consultant was kind of saying, hey, you got to move forward and you don't know what's going to die, so you just got to do as many as you can. So we were doing that. Then when we got to this point, it's kind of like, this is a whole lot of work to spread a whole lot of people really thin. We want to make sure we do a good product. Plus, the cost associated with these is not cheap for third-party reports, for application fees. So that's where we focused on San Juan 1 and San Juan 2. And so as far as the affordability on it, in this particular instance, we're going to make them more affordable, but it's not going to be additional affordable units. They're already 60% units. But now we are going to increase the number of 30% AMI units with this. Well, let me correct that. We're not changing the restriction from 60 to 30, but we will be charging 30% AMI rents at that rent level. So I don't want to misrepresent it that we're increasing units, but we are increasing the ones that they're hardest to find, the 30% AMI rent level units.
Okay, thank you.
So as we look at this, basically, what we talked about before, this was a structure that another public housing authority had done. It was opened up. The administrator is against it. We've been able to get through each of the deadlines that they've come up with. As I just mentioned, we've decided to focus on San Juan 1 and San Juan 2 because basically we're looking at 66 units of the Restore Rebuild in San Juan 1, 69 in San Juan 2. Currently, the properties are at 78% occupancy for 1 and about 83% occupancy for 2. This allows us that these 60% units that we're having trouble leasing, even at a lower rent, so we're lowering the rents, but finding, you find people that want to do it, but they don't really qualify, and those that qualify are not interested in living there. And so this is where we are right now. If you go to the next slide, you can see where they're located. These are located in District 5, and they're located close together. This has been one of the benefits of this exercise because the administration may come up with something that we can't overcome. But what was huge is the fact that we would like to look at El Paso's model. We don't want to follow everything that they did as far as the employees and all the things that way, but we do see how they were actually able to fund the work. And one of the things that they did was they did scattered sites and they did them all together in a single bond issuance that really creates some efficiencies so you save cost and you can do more. We're going to do that. Well, when we move forward with this, even though they're very close, they're not actually considered adjacent. And we found out that in the bond, the private activity bonds, you can't do scattered site. Well, when we look up the regulations in 1372, the Texas Government Code 002, it says if you're a housing authority, well, great. In a city that's on an international border with more than 500,000 people, you can do it. So it's only for El Paso. But this is at a point, there's no guarantee, but this is at a point where we can have legislation written. It seems like something everybody could get behind. If we had not gone forward with this, we may have found that out past the time to actually write a bill. So this has been very fruitful, even if we don't end up getting it. And so you got San Juan 1 and 2. If you look at the two properties next, the next slide. It's a beautiful property. When it first started, 143 units. It's got the 44 public housing and 66 Restore Rebuild if you approve this and we get approved. It is going to increase the affordability, and it's in City Council District 5. And then San Juan 2 is 144 units, 48 public housing, 69 Restore Rebuild with approval, and it also is located in District 5. And any questions on that?
I just want to note that we do have a 2027 legislative conference coming up for the housing community on August 21st, and I would hope that this item would be brought forward either by our team or just integrated into the city's discussion points on that day so that it's something that folks know is important to us with regard to initiatives for the coming session.
It's a great idea.
And yes, Commissioner Hector Morales, our head of government.
I mean, he was here. I
Yeah,
didn't
no,
see him.
he was here. He has it on his agenda, so.
Great, thank you.
Okay. If there are no other questions, I'll go ahead and call for a motion to approve items 8 and 9, Resolution 6969 and 6970. Do I have a first?
I move that we adopt Resolutions 69 and 6970.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
I have a first and second, and if there's no additional discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to items numbers 10 and 11. Consideration and approval regarding Resolution 6964, authorizing the Dalian 151 Apartments transaction, including authorizing the San Antonio Housing Facility Corporation's participation in the Dalian's 151 Apartments transaction. And number 11, consideration and approval regarding Resolution 6965, authorizing the Dalian Monterrey Village Apartments transaction, including authorizing the San Antonio Housing Facility Corporation's participation in the Dalian Monterrey Village Apartments transaction. Nicholas Delaney, Project Manager.
Hello, Commissioners. Today, I'm bringing two projects to you for your approval. This is Dalian 151 and Dalian Monterrey Village. We're also joined here by Dalian Development. They're the housing provider, so if you have any questions directly for them, they're here as well. So this is the first time we work with this organization, and Dalian Development is a multifamily housing provider that focuses on long-term housing preservation. They have over 1,000 units in their portfolio and currently other projects in development underway. They've had projects here in San Antonio as well as Philadelphia and currently developments in Richmond and Pittsburgh. Dalian is committed to curating communities that are inspired by local art and architecture. So today's approval is asking for final approval for these projects. We're presenting them together, but they're two separate projects. And what we're asking for is to participate in partnership in these projects that allow us to preserve the existing workforce housing that these properties provide to our San Antonio community. Even though these properties are off the tax roll, we conducted an independent third-party analysis that determined the public benefit of these properties. And what that measured was the property taxes versus the reduced rents. And that yielded an 84% public benefit ratio. And so we consider that as worthy for preserving that affordable housing or affordability. Additionally, what this approval does also ask for is for us to participate in this partnership as well as finalize any type of equity documents, terms, and to close on the transactions. So as you saw before, these are some of the milestones that are to be completed. These properties are existing properties, so a lot of these milestones are complete. And so right now we're just asking for final approval just to participate in this structure. Dalian 151 and Dalian Monterrey Village are located right next to each other. They're located on the far west side of San Antonio, located near the intersection of Ingram Road and Texas State Highway 151. The properties are, because they're next to each other, they even share the same parking lot, so that's why we're kind of showing them together. But they're directly next to each other. The area that surrounds them, they're both located in City Council District 6. And to also tell you that's important, both projects have endorsement by Rick Galvan, the council member for that district. They're part of Northside ISD. And there is a transit connection, so there's a bus stop right in front of 151, and there is an accessible route to that bus stop, and that's Route 612, and that's at the intersection of Ingram and Vista West Drive. What's important about these projects and why we like them is they're in an area where there's heavy workforce or workforce hubs. They're within 5 miles of the Amazon Fulfillment Center, Southwest Research Institute, Lackland Air Force Base, and Christus Santa Rosa, and they're in a direct area of heavy retail. So, and it's also zoned for John Paul Stevens High School. We're going to look at both properties a little bit individually and see the different specifications. So Dalian 151, the amenities at this property include central mail kiosk, clubhouse, detached garages, dog park. The unit amenities have 9-foot ceilings, exterior storage closets, granite countertops, kitchen islands. This property was built in 2018, so it's fairly new. There's a total of 360 units. 36 of the units are deeply affordable at 60% AMI. 144 units are at 80% AMI, and 180 are at market. The unit mix consists of studios, 1 bedrooms, 2 bedrooms, and 3 bedrooms. This is a non-tax credit transaction, and it's utilizing a HUD 221D4 that's already in place. So we're just assuming, if we engage in this partnership, we're just assuming the existing debt. Currently, the original debt on the property is $37 million. The remaining balance on this property is $33.4 million. Dalian Monterey Village, if we look into this one, it has similar amenities with a gated community, picnic area, and swimming pool. The same unit amenities as Dalian 151, including stainless steel appliances, walk-in closets, and some of the units, and washer and dryers and units as well. This property is a bit older, but still fairly new. It was built in 2016, still has the same amount of units at 360 units. 36 units are also deeply affordable at 60% AMI, 140 units are at 80, and 180 units are market. And this unit mix also consists of studios, 1, 2, and 3 bedrooms. And it utilizes the same financial structure. The existing debt on the property is $38.4 million, and the remaining balance is $34.6 million. So any proceeds that we get from this project will go to our repositioning efforts and preserving and expanding affordable public housing units. So any questions?
I just want to make sure I understand the transaction. You specify that we would acquire the land and immediately enter into a long-term ground lease with the partnership. So the assumption of the $34 million in debt, we would assume the entire $34 million in debt.
The partnership would, and the developer would back the guarantees in the project. We don't have any financial risk.
All right. Thank you.
Additional questions? Okay. I am going to go ahead and call for a motion to approve items numbers 10 and 11. Do I have a first?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a first and second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to item number 12, consideration and approval regarding Resolution 6966, authorizing the Housing Voucher Services Department to allocate 26 project-based vouchers to the Ravello Opportunity Home Development. Stephanie Rodriguez, Senior Director of Housing Voucher Services.
Good afternoon, Commissioners, and I apologize. I'm having some issues with my tonsils, so I sound a little funny. Okay, so this afternoon I'm bringing to you the Ravello project-based vouchers. So for information related to project-based vouchers, we call them PBV for short in the presentation. Project-based vouchers are vouchers that are tied to a specific community. Under the regulations, the Housing Authority can apply vouchers to a specific property in order for those vouchers to be utilized specifically at that property. There is normally a process that you would go through for a competitive process in the regulations. And then there's also a rule that allows only a certain number of the units on property to be project-based. And so on this slide, it kind of goes over the general information related to the program and rules and regulations to give you background related to it. Now, as a moving to work organization, we do have our own MTW activity that lets us bypass part of those regulations. And so as a part of the process for regular regulations, you normally go through a competitive process where you would post in order for people to make bids if they would like to get their project-based vouchers at their communities. But our activity allows us to apply project-based vouchers to communities that we own or have ownership interest in order to increase affordability across our portfolios. So I'm sorry, if you could go back to that activity. So this flexibility does extend specifically to communities that we own or manage, and it can be for any new, like newly developed, or currently existing communities. And so specifically for this activity, the Ravello is a currently existing community within our portfolio. So for the Ravello, it's located at 6639 South New Braunfels. It is an existing community. We did go out to do an inspection to make sure that it did qualify under that for HUD regulations. It is a 252-unit community that is specifically for those that are 55 years and older. We call it like a near elderly community. And at this time, we're only looking to do 26. Normally, you could go up to like 25% or 40% if it's a near elderly or elderly community, but we're only looking to do 26 in order to infuse affordability into the community. This community does normally accept our regular vouchers. We do have near elderly and elderly that do go to this community. As a part of the process, we did get there were bonds that had been previously issued under the property, and so this would be infused into it to make sure that the property continues to stay with the affordability, is sustainable, and works for our community. And it would not be necessarily a crazy long term for the contracts that we would normally do, but it would be in order to assist that. It does not limit the number of vouchers that we would normally do under any type of repositioning. Those are excluded from any kind of program cap or organizational cap that you would have on project-based vouchers. And we're allowed up closer to 2,700 project-based vouchers under our organization. We're currently only around 388. This would bring us closer to only 414, and so there would still be plenty of project-based vouchers that would be available for the community out there. Any questions related to this?
Doesn't seem like we have any questions, so I am going to go ahead and request a motion to approve Resolution 6966. Do I have a first?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Got a first and second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to item number 13, consideration and approval regarding Resolution 6962, authorizing the award of a contract for pre-construction and general contracting service for EPC 3 to Geophil Construction. Vanessa Caballero in, both of you? Vanessa Caballero and Hector Martinez, welcome.
Excuse me, it's a little low for me. That's better. Good afternoon, Commissioners. This is a request to enter into an agreement with a general contractor for the implementation of Opportunity Homes' third phase EPC. As a reminder, we brought an update about this phase EPC to the board back in June. A little bit of history. This is, like I said, our third phase of EPC. We've been involved in 10 years of energy performance contracting at this agency. In those 10 years, there's been about $12 million gross savings throughout those years implementing these energy conservation measures. And that's what EPC is. It's a financial tool by HUD, although the funding is not federal. It's through a bank loan, through financing, that allows the housing authorities to borrow money to invest into public housing properties for energy conservation measures, for water and electricity utilities. So this third phase, it's going to be about $5 million, and this phase is going to focus on the particular scopes of work. We have one property that's going to receive air conditioning, central air conditioning right now. Those units are being cooled by window units, so this will be some central cooling. The installation of attic insulation, which is going to go a big way towards impacting the energy performance of those buildings. We have thousands upon thousands of low-flow water toilets, toilets, water closets, that's what that is, being installed. And there's a particular scope of work involved in this phase EPC that we're really excited about, which we haven't done before, is the ability to detect water leaks. We have water leaks quite a bit that occur throughout our portfolio due to shifting grounds, due to severe weather extremes from wet to dry, and for materials that just over the course of years will deteriorate. So we're really excited about being able to do leak detection. That's going to be a big benefit to the agency. That's going to be a big time water saving measure that we're really excited about. The general contractor is Geophil. They've done several projects with Opportunity Home throughout the years. They actually performed the previous phase of energy performance contracting for the agency. It's a rather simple scope of work, nothing terribly complicated. We just talked about those, like I said, attic insulation, changing out of toilets, water leaks, and one site that's going to get air conditioning. Are there any technical questions or project questions I'd be happy to answer before I turn it over to Vanessa for the procurement?
I just have a question on the increased EPC operating subsidy from HUD. Have we already received that, or is that, I will gladly pay you Tuesday for a burger today?
Diana can probably speak better.
So not to get in the weeds, but so operating subsidy is a application per amp, so almost per property. So we have 47 amps, and utilities, including water, are about a third of that money. So we get it every single year, right? There's a project expense level, that's for operations, and then there's a utility expense level for utilities. So those two combined are operating subsidy. So every year that number adjusts based on these set-asides they're gonna, and the savings as well, that they're going to create as a part of this EPC program. Those will roll into our operating subsidy calculations as the work is complete.
And we have relatively complete assurance that that process at HUD will not change and that there will not be a multiplier or reduction factor applied to this program?
Not to this program. So public housing typically does have a reduction proration applied to it pretty normally. It has been around the 80-some-odd% level normally, but COVID and post-COVID, it rose to closer to 100% funding. This past year, it did reduce again to around the 90% level. So we're seeing a little less money, but that's why these programs are so important, right? Because then they create not only the savings, but then the additional add-ons for the operating subsidy, the utility piece, the water piece. And then the monitoring is so important, right? Because we have tools, and then we also have our partners at Group 14 that provides robust reporting that make sure that these saving devices that are put in place are actually performing and creating those savings. So all of that is tracked.
So I'm just thinking about that, we're borrowing money and intending to repay it with an escalator that we will get from our federal funder. But everything I've seen over the past 18 months is that some federal funding sources just aren't as secure as we think they are. Is there enough in savings that we anticipate at properties that the money that, the payment for the loan that we are taking out will not become a burden.
A burden, that's correct. And there are also different options as well. So we can use capital fund dollars to pay off these loans if it comes to that point where we may want to choose to pay them off as opposed to keeping them on for 10 years. These are 10-year loans. That's another option. MTW is another option.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thanks, Dana. And I did want to mention also that we're taking advantage of coupling this program with a CPS energy weatherization program, which we're anticipating is going to produce at the end of the project a $900,000 rebate from CPS.
Oh.
Yeah, sorry, I failed to mention that.
A good factor.
Sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Martinez. Good afternoon, Commissioners. I'm Vanessa Caballero. I'm serving as the Interim Director of Procurement. So regarding the procurement process, we did issue an RFP number 2602-5653. It was issued on April 1st and closed on June 3rd. We did solicit through our e-procurement website as well as the Heartbeat, and we directly solicited to 60 vendors. We did receive one submission, and that was from GeoPhil. It was evaluated based on the criteria of experience, capacity, approach, and methodology, cost proposal, the strength of the contractor Section 3 program utilization, as well as their SWIMB utilization statement. So based on this, the staff is recommending the award of this project to GeoPhil. Are there any questions I can answer?
They have all certifications and licenses necessary to operate and do this job. Yes?
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you.
Can you tell us how many years they've been in experience?
I'm sorry?
How many years have they been in experience?
GeoPhil, let's see. I don't know if I have that information. They were established in 2003. And we have issued several awards for Opportunity Home to GeoPhil.
Okay. If there are no other questions, I will move to ask for a motion to approve Resolution 6966. I'm sorry, not 6966, 6962. Do I have a first?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
I've got a first and second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. And you're up here with us for a little while, right? So we'll move on to item number 14, consideration and approval regarding Resolution 6961, authorizing the award of a contract for central office roof replacement to JSP Innovative Construction, LLC.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So this is a request to enter into an agreement with JSP Innovative Constructions. We're excited about this. We're going to use this contract to take care of our central office. We have some needs on the roof. I don't know when the last time the roof was replaced, but it was before I started here 15 years ago. The roof is in need of some repairs, so we're going to, as you can see the photographs, there's a lot of needs up on that roof. It's worn, it's not very reflective anymore, and we have experienced some leaks in some offices, so we decided it was time to invest into re-roofing this central office. So this is that contract. It's with JSP. It's going to be a thermoplast, a TPO type roof. We paid a little bit of a premium to have them install 2 layers of rigid insulation board to provide a nice roof insulation that'll insulate the building so it'll perform better energy-wise. We also did get a 20-year warranty for this work from the contractor within this contract. So we think it's very beneficial. It's a very good cost and very much needed. Are there any technical questions I can answer?
Yeah, when are we going to tear the building down and replace it with high-density multifamily housing? I mean, I'm just wondering what the time.
That's my idea. It's on the agenda.
Thank you.
Any other technical questions?
And Commissioners, if you need more proof, Tim's office, half of his furniture is covered in buckets. And And I know in previous administrations, my predecessor from 2 predecessors ago, when I questioned why we are in these conditions, his response was, we always want to take care of someone else's house before ours. My philosophy is, if you can't take care of your own house, how are you supposed to take care of someone else's house? So it's different philosophies, but we are at the point where we have buckets in the offices because our roof is leaking, so we really need the help.
Yeah, we do a lot of roofing everywhere and all of our housing all the time. Whenever I think about a new roof and see a new roof, I think there's a place we can put solar panels in the future also. So that'll be a really nice benefit in the future. Vanessa can talk about the procurement.
Yes, so for this project, we issued an invitation for bids. On May 21st, it was issued, and it closed on June 25th, 2026. We did receive 5 submissions, but based on the lowest cost, we do recommend JSP Innovative Construction to complete this project. Are there any questions I can answer?
Doesn't seem as though we have any questions, so I will call for a motion to approve Resolution 6961. Do I have a first?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
I've got a first and second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Moving on to item 15, consideration and approval regarding Resolution 6959, authorizing the award of a contract for exterior siding replacement at Dietrich Road Apartments to JMI Contractors, LLC.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So this is a request to enter into an agreement with a general contractor for siding replacement at the Dietrich Apartments. As you can see, it's a rather small community located on the east side of San Antonio. It's within our affordable housing communities portfolio, so it's in our non-federal portfolio. This is a rather straight-ahead, one-for-one siding replacement of the buildings. Happy to note that the funding for this project is through the San Antonio Housing Trust. So they awarded us a grant for these funds, and so we're taking advantage to improve the building envelopes at Dietrich. We were happy with the pricing, and like I said, it's a pretty well needed project. They have some water infiltration issues that this will take care of. And I think we're really excited about moving forward with this, especially developing that business relationship with the Housing Trust is really good. Vanessa, would you like to talk about procurement?
For this procurement, we issued an invitation for bids as well. This one was also open on May 26, 2026. It closed on June 22nd. We did issue it or publish it on our e-procurement website as well as the Heartbeat, and we directly solicited to 703 vendors. We did receive 7 responses. We do recommend awarding to JMI Contractors as they did provide the lowest cost proposals to perform the work. Any questions?
No, it doesn't seem like we have any. I will call for a motion to approve Resolution 6959. Do I have a first?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
I've got a first and second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes.
Madam Chair, if I will, I should have added, this was just one scope of work we're doing at Dietrich with San Antonio Housing Trust funds. They're also funding us to replace the roofs at Dietrich Road and to apply some structural repairs to bring some units back online and to redo the paving surfaces out there as well. So it's, at the end, it's going to be a big project, but this was just a single contract out of that.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Item number 16, consideration and approval regarding Resolution 6960, authorizing the award of a contract for elevator maintenance and repair organization-wide to ATTA Elevators. Go right ahead.
Thank you. So this is a request to enter into agreement with ATA Elevators. They're a big outfit. Well, we're switching over and going to contract with them. We're trusting them with our elevator repair needs. This is going to take care of the maintenance and emergency repair services of the agency's elevators. We did modernize our high-rise elevators with Otis elevators, so we're going to maintain their services so that they are responsible for seeing through their warranty periods. But this is a new vendor. We're excited about working with them. ATTA's a big outfit, and they're familiar with our portfolio, and this is going to be a new contract in that regard, so we're building that relationship now. Our facilities manager and our operations departments are going to be working closely with ATTA for all of these. This is not just for repair services and emergencies, but for preventative maintenance so that we stay in front of the needs. We're well aware of how sensitive and how these elevators, how crucial it is and how much our seniors depend on them. So keeping them functioning smoothly and having an emergency response team is critical. And so we look forward to this contract to be able to meet the needs of our residents.
Will contracting with this organization or this business help expedite some of the repairs and service needs, especially during emergencies?
Yeah, we think so. ATTA has not been contracted with us in the recent past, so whenever we have emergencies, we treat it just like an emergency, and it's whoever can get out there soonest. We go with whoever's under contract first. If they happen to not be available, we'll go to the next on the list and just get somebody out there and get the elevator going. So this brings another company into the fold, so to speak, a big company in San Antonio. And nationwide, they have a big presence. They do a lot of commercial, a lot of high-rise buildings, so they certainly have the history and capacity to be able to do this work. I think this gives us a fresh start with someone under our contract terms, because we have very strict contract terms as far as responses for elevator needs. So we look forward to enforcing that with them and setting that tone right from the beginning.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Vanessa.
For this project, we issued a request for proposals. It was issued on April 27th, 2026, and it was closed on May 19th, 2026. Again, it was advertised and published on our e-procurement website as well as the Heartbeat, and directly solicited to 195 vendors. We received 8 responses. We evaluated the responses based on the criteria of experience and capacity, technical capability, quality and methodology, disclosures and financial capability, fees and cost, and the strength of the contractor's Section 3 utilization plan, as well as their SWIMBY utilization statement. We are recommending an award of contract to ATTA Elevators. They are the highest rated respondent, sorry. Are there any questions I can answer?
Doesn't seem as though there are any questions. Thank you. I will call for a motion to approve Resolution 6960. Do I have a first?
First.
I have a first, now a second.
Second.
I've got a first and second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you. Sorry, moving on to item number 17, consideration and approval regarding Resolution 6955, authorizing the award of a contract for development partner for H.B. Gonzalez to Volunteers of America National Services.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Jared Thiereth, Director of Development Services at Opportunity Home. I'm going to present this item in conjunction with Vanessa Caballero, the Interim Director of Procurement. We also have the proposed housing provider, Deborah Welchel, Vice President of Volunteers of America, with us as well. If you'll go to the next slide, please. So this is a very exciting time for us. This is our first repositioning that we're moving forward with, and it's not just an exciting time with Opportunity Home, but the residents as well, particularly the residents of H.B. Gonzalez. The site is very close to H.B. Gonzalez. I know we don't have a map, but both of these sites are about 1.5 miles east of Ingram Park Mall. H.B. Gonzalez is on Ingram, and then right around the corner on Callahan is the proposed alternate site. As a crow flies, it's literally 1/2 mile away from door to door as one drives. It's about 3/4 of a mile, so well under a mile from site to site, which means residents can use the same bus stops they're using, the same H-E-B, the same pharmacy, the same social network, the same social circle. So all of that stuff will remain the same. The amenities and designs are subject to change, but you can see here on the right, the lower right of the slide here, a few of those I want to point out is the fitness room or fitness center, business center, the community garden. There's a putting green, a Zen garden, and a pet park. Again, these are proposed, subject to change, but that's tentatively what we're aiming for at the moment. Also, as we move forward through this process, we're going to get input from the residents as well on what they like and what they don't like. You know, we can't guarantee the residents that we're going to offer everything that they like, but we're definitely going to hear their input and see what we can and cannot include. Obviously, we're going to be budget constrained, but again, we'll try to heed what they're proposing and see if we can incorporate it, whether it's amenities or finishes within the project. Lorraine mentioned this earlier, but we've already held multiple meetings with the residents, informal meetings. Once this is approved, we're going to move forward with the official or formal RAD meetings. You know, there's at least 5, but there will be a handful more. You know, if residents have questions, if there's concerns, you know, we're always happy to head out there, which we've already done prior to this. Moving forward, we will apply for 9% LIHTC round in Q1 of this coming year. This is an at-risk set-aside, so we like our odds. We're going to request that this remains, it is a senior, we're going to request that it remains, elderly and disabled as well. We are partnering or proposing to partner with a nonprofit housing provider, as I mentioned, Deborah and Volunteers of America, who have a prolific and very successful track record that we're looking forward to working with those guys or them. And maybe most importantly, minimal disruption to the residents. Lorraine mentioned this earlier as well, is that, you know, because it's a new construction, it's an alternate site right around the corner, we're not going to have to move the residents out, only to move them back in, say, 18 months or 24 months later. So it'll be one seamless transition and move, a single move, right around the corner right there on Callahan for the proposed site, which means it's a far cleaner construction path than occupied residences, so the construction should also move quite a bit quicker. And then the capital stack, which is on the left, not to exceed $29 million or approximately $29 million, and that would be composed of LIHTC equity, Freddie Mac permanent debt, COSA funds, FHLB of Dallas, as well as some deferred developer fees too. And then now I will hand it over to Vanessa Caballero to talk about the procurement process.
For the procurement process for this project, we did issue a request for proposals. It was issued on May 19th, 2026. It was published in our e-procurement website as well as the Heartbeat. We did directly solicit 2 developers, and we received the 1 submission from Volunteers of America. We evaluated based on the criteria of qualifications and experience, proposed staff qualifications, site control, location, and development concept, as well as financing and structure plan. They did score an overall 87 points out of 100, so that did qualify them to complete this project, and we are recommending award of this contract to Volunteers of America. Any questions that I can answer for you?
I have a question. They scored 87?
Yes.
What were the things that did not score them higher?
That's a great question. I unfortunately don't. What's that? I don't know the exact points, I'm sorry, but I could provide it to you. We do have a breakdown of all of the scores from all 3 of our evaluators that we can provide.
Are you able to maybe just tell me if, I'll wait, I'll get that from you. Thank you.
And Commissioners, if I can just add, there are lots of for-profit developers. It's hard to find nonprofit developers, so we're really excited about partnering with a national nonprofit leader.
I want to reiterate that, and not in my direct experience, but across the organization that I work with at Volunteers of America is an extraordinary organization and very mission-driven and very compatible with the work that we do here. And again, that's something that the Board of Commissioners in the past has noted that in some instances, finding an upfront partner that is a for-profit entity may make the capital stack a little easier to assemble, but eventually, over the long run, we see that value engineering and other types of activities may reduce the sustainability of the property. So I just had first of all, I'm excited to see that we're going after an at-risk set-aside deal. I know that applications were 100% funded in the last round at the state, so that seems like a great avenue for us. And then just a question about what's going to happen with the floodplain site after demolition. Do we have any ability to improve and use that as an amenity in the community?
That we do. It's TBD, and we've contemplated both either raising it or flipping it and selling it and using those proceeds elsewhere. But there is potential to reuse that site as a future development.
So not all of it's in the floodplain, or it can be made?
Not all of it's in the floodplain, but we can also try to raise it out of the floodplain as well. So it may not be that easy, but there are options to redevelop the HBG site. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay. I will go ahead and call for a motion to approve Resolution 6955. Is there a first? Excuse me.
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
I've got a first and second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. And we're going to take a little 5-minute break just to take a little break. Just to take a break. Okay. We are all back and ready to get started again. So I am going to go ahead and move on to item number 18, consideration and approval regarding Resolution 6957, authorizing the award of contracts for mowing and grounds maintenance services for affordable housing communities to A&S Landscaping Services, Blue Lacy Landscape and Maintenance Company, or Maintenance Co., Goodwill Industries of San Antonio and HRTG Landscapes, LLC, DBA Heritage Landscapes. Vanessa, you're back.
Yes. Hello again, Commissioners. We are seeking your consideration and approval for Resolution 6957. As you mentioned, authorizing the awards of contracts for mowing and ground maintenance services. This is for our affordable housing communities portfolio. We are recommending the award to 4 of our top-rated firms, which is A&S Landscaping, Blue Lacy Landscape and Maintenance, Goodwill Industries of San Antonio, and HRTG Landscapes, DBA Heritage Landscapes. The contract term will cover a period of 1 year with the option to renew for up to 4 additional 1-year terms. We issued a request for proposals on April 16, 2026. To optimize budget management, this was a rebid specifically structured pricing options for 1 cut, 2 cut, and 3 cuts per month. This structure gives staff the flexibility to adjust the service frequency based on seasons and create significant opportunities to save funds during slower winter months while still maintaining proper curb appeal during peak growing seasons. So we did publish this through our e-procurement website as well as the Heartbeat. We directly solicited to 479 vendors. We closed on May 12th. We received a total of 7 proposals. The submissions were evaluated based on the criteria of experience, proposed staff qualifications, capacity, project management and plan, price proposal, and the strength of the contractor's SWIMBY utilization statement. We are recommending award to the 4 highest scoring proposers. Approval of this vendor pool allows leadership for affordable housing communities to administratively manage property assignments based on operational needs. Moving on to the financial implications, this recommended annual expenditure for these mowing and ground maintenance contracts is expected not to exceed $1 million annually. It'll be funded through individual property operating budgets and/or available reserves. The seasonal cut options incorporated into this procurement ensure we maintain strong financial stewardship over these operating funds. Are there any questions I can answer?
Doesn't seem as though there are any questions, so I'll go ahead and call for a motion to approve Resolution 6957.
Madam Chair, I had a question.
Oh, you have a question? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You need to be a little. Just kidding.
This contract is going to be for a year for this company?
Yes, for 1 year with the option to extend.
Okay.
Okay, now we're good. I call for a motion to approve Resolution 6957. Do I have a first?
So moved.
I've got a first. Do I have a second?
Second.
I've got a first and second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to item number 19. Consideration and approval regarding Resolution 6958, ratifying past expenditures for HVAC equipment, supplies, and installation to Custom Hole Supply, Johnston Supply. Muriel, you're up. Thank you for the chocolate.
Amen. You're welcome. Good afternoon, Commissioners. I'm Muriel Roeder, Executive Vice President and Chief Administrative Officer. It's so nice to be here with you today. I am here because we identified that we were utilizing a contract for AC supplies that we had gone beyond the availability of the President and CEO to approve. And so because of the amount that we were expending, we needed to bring it to the Board of Commissioners to ratify those expenditures. Our affordable housing communities portfolio is the only ones that have maintenance, HVAC maintenance tech. So their maintenance, they have some maintenance folks that can actually do air conditioner repair. And as such, they want to have immediate access to HVAC parts because, as you can imagine, in 100-degree weather, your AC unit goes out, you want to get the residents back online as soon as possible. And we did have another solicitation that the board had previously approved. However, that organization was not able to provide parts immediately. We'd have to wait 24 to 48 hours. And so they identified a co-op, a buy board, someone that was approved under buy board that had a location in San Antonio. And so they were utilizing the parts from that location, utilizing that buy board contract. Now, what we're going to have to do is we're asking for the ratification of the past expenditures and then also for expenditures through August 15th. Because what we also found out was that the San Antonio location is really not under that buy board contract. And so we're identifying other sources for those HVAC parts, and then we're hoping that when that buy board contract renews and goes up for approval in November, they might have a San Antonio location we can use at that time. May I answer any questions you have?
I just have one quick question. Do we have any other, if we take this action and we basically ratify or certify prior actions for which there was not, as I understand it, not appropriate authority, do we have any other actions we need to take to make sure that we are in compliance? Or is there anything we need to do given that we procured these services without the adequate authorization?
So for this particular item, no. But one of the concerns I had was finding this out is like, what else don't I know?
Right.
And so as a result, right now we're in the middle of a procurement audit. So what I've asked Allison to do is I've asked Allison to add an additional test of control for her to look at any purchases, any expenditures over $50,000 for the last 6 months, just to make sure any of those all of those vendors have approved authority to procure, that we have the correct approval for us to utilize and incur those expenditures. So that's what we're doing to try to mitigate if there's anything else out there.
That's great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And this is to continue the engagement until August the 15th?
August the 15th. So staff, the superintendent for Affordable Housing Communities has identified some vendors, other vendors in the San Antonio area, and we're looking to see if they have any co-ops that they're associated with so that we can move in that direction. And then if so, we would be potentially bringing that to the board next month or the following month.
Okay. Is August the 15th long enough?
We've identified some other locations that have supplies readily available. The part of the issue is that the buy board contract that we were using, the San Antonio location is not a part of that. So we're kind of stopping our usage because it wasn't supposed to be under that it's not under that buy board contract.
Okay. I was just asking to ensure that if something were to happen and you need whatever you need, that you have the capability and capacity to be able to do what you have to make sure that our residents have what they need.
Yes, absolutely. And we do, our superintendent has identified some other locations in San Antonio that have parts available. We're just trying to see how we utilize them. And with HVAC and us being in San Antonio, it is considered an emergency safety and security kind of thing. So we do kind of have a natural authorization, during the summertime, but we want to move forward in an appropriate manner.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? Okay. Then I will go ahead and call for a motion to approve Resolution 6858. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
I've got a first and second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Okay, moving on to item 20, consideration and approval regarding Resolution 6968, authorizing the award of a contract for various security service to Texas Lawman Security and Traffic Control.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. I'm Domingo Ibarra, Director of Security. We're asking for a 6-month interim gap contract to maintain essential security services. This provides procurement with an opportunity to finalize the new solicitation. It also helps us balance operational continuity with the implementation of enhanced contract requirements for improved vendor accountability. A lot of these I've been able to craft directly aligning ourselves with the 2037 Centennial Strategic Plan, so it's really critical for us. This is also a long-term award that we're going to be looking to bring you the long-term award in February of 2027. That's my presentation, rather brief, but pending any questions from the board.
This, just from my understanding, this extends to security at some of the properties?
We have various security services. Well, basically, what that means is night patrols.
Yes.
We also have for special events, and we have security for like the board meetings.
So my question more toward the night security would be who is monitoring the effectiveness and the consistency of the night security? And I would like to share why I'm asking. There have been some community members that have reached out that have talked about there not being adequate security, or they don't even see the security officers anymore. They make complaint calls and nobody responds. I myself am at a property that we had it and we don't. There's no one to call. I think I saw someone the other day, but it's not consistent. So who monitors the effectiveness and the consistency?
Well, thank you for the question, Commissioner. What we have is in the contract, we have GPS, so we're able to monitor the locations that do have security. But keep in mind, not all of the properties have security because we operate based on the crime statistics. So we're able to deploy the security wherever they're needed most, and that's for budgetary constraints. And we do review those periodically to be able to change them. So if there's any questions or concerns about whether or not a security that is scheduled was conducted, then I do have the authority to go to the vendor and have them show me proof through the GPS. Also, we use photographs to cross-reference, and this is what we call the DAR, Daily Activity Report. So we're able to track. It's a lot of work, but it's basically what we do.
Okay.
I would remind the public that the primary responsibility rests with SAPD. What we do is we supplement.
Got you. Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. That's all.
Any other questions? Okay. I will go ahead and call for a motion to approve Resolution 6968. Do I have a first?
So moved.
And a second? Excuse me.
Second.
I've got a first and second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed say nay. Okay, motion passes. Okay, moving on to item number 21, Board of Commissioners Annual Elections. Doug Ponick?
Members of the board, we need to have the annual election for chair and vice chair. Typically what we'll do is take the office of chair first, and when nominations are made, there doesn't need to be a second to the nomination. So the process is someone will nominate one of their fellow commissioners to be chair. If there's another nomination, then we'll take them in order of that they were made and determine who the chair will be. So we'll take the office of chair first. Are there any nominations for the office of chair?
Yes, I move to nominate Esteita Garza Diaz for board chair.
Okay. Are there any other nominations? If not, I'd ask that there be a vote by all the board on that nomination. All in favor of Esteita serving as chair, please say aye.
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 Okay, congratulations and condolences. Now we'll take the office of vice chair. Are there any nominations for vice chair?
I nominate Nikki Johnson, Commissioner Nikki Johnson, to serve as vice chair of the board.
Are there any other nominations? If not, we'll take a vote. Will all those in favor of the nomination please say aye?
Aye.
The motion or the nomination wins, succeeds, and again, congratulations.
I have to deliver some remarks next Wednesday.
Okay, congratulations, Vice Chair.
Thank you, same to you.
We will move on to discussion items. Number 22, update and discussion regarding Resolution 6946 concerning renewal of insurance policies for 26 and 27.
Hi, good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Jennifer Dominguez, and I am the Director of Risk Management and Asset Resilience. And previously, we brought this item to the board in June through Resolution 6946 and committed that we would come back after the fiscal year began to update on what insurance placement was made. As far as placement, we placed insurance for the organization for different policies for the Housing Authority of City of San Antonio, Texas, and its affiliates. We do have mandates through HUD and through lenders and such that require certain amounts of insurance, and we make sure that we audit our portfolio and follow those requirements. Most of our insurance policies renew on July 1, with the exception of our Snowden insurance for this particular property. It renews for October of this year. However, we've worked with the carriers so that way the policy will end on June 30th and we can start with the renewal on July 1 so that that one is current. So in our schedule here, you'll see Snowden has numbers listed. Those are estimated numbers, so we do not anticipate on exceeding that number. Everything else that is listed here under your 26-27 actual premiums has been placed and is a hard number. Just to recap, when we go and we shop insurance, we start as early as March of the year. We review our renewal applications, complete those. In April, we work with our broker of record. We look at the market and talk about discussions regarding placement, negotiations, how the market is changing, and so forth. In June, we come to the board and ask for authorization for our estimate, which our estimate here for 26-27 was $7.5 million. I promise we didn't place that much. So in July, we place our insurance. We audit all of the insurance with our broker of record. And then here we are today, returning to the board to provide an update. So previous fiscal year, we bound insurance for $6.8 million. Our current fiscal year, we bound insurance for $6.2 million. With some added additional benefits, our insured values increased. So that's more coverage for us. And then we went uniform with all of our deductibles for property and liability. So overall, we had a 7.5 decrease in what we placed, which is approximately about $570,000 in savings.
Commissioners, please note that you have a printed copy of this with your packets today, should you need to see it more clearly.
Thank you. Any questions or concerns?
I mean, just as a comment, when we did the that legislative roundtable, which we do, or work session that we do annually with the city and other partners around housing issues, 2 years ago, insurance was at the top of the list because everybody's premiums were just going through the market was very other
hard.
things were coming through the roof. I don't know. Anyway, the last year it dropped. The interest in it dropped, and it looks like the market has really stabilized. And so this isn't just some exciting thing we got. It's you're seeing this more across the market that premiums are declining. I mean, we saw folks who were saying, "I'm going to have to default on my note because of my insurance costs," and it seems like that may be stabilizing.
So that attributed to the decrease. In addition to that, we looked at all of our policies and audited, and what we did is we canceled policies for Las Varas, the Facility Corp, the Development Corp, and we moved those properties onto the Housing Authority of City of San Antonio. So we have less policies, and that blanket policy also helped when we revamped our portfolio.
But you still have director's liability, right?
Oh, yes, I was talking about property and
Just
liability.
making sure.
Yes, we have everything covered.
They did an outstanding job. It's actually with Diana's relationship with HIAG and then Jennifer's relationship on the committees. They were able to talk to one of the top executives and allow this change at the very last minute. That was something that hadn't been done before. The insurance is still shooting up. Insurance is still a big issue. This is unique to Jennifer and Diana's efforts. And we just really have to, I mean, it's unbelievable that they actually have a reduction in price. I wouldn't say that the overall market was going down.
Well, I mean, congrats, because that is extraordinary from what we've seen. So this is, thank you.
Of course.
So you're with the insurance, that's why you kept moving all the objects for you.
Yes, that's why I moved your Teshka.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now we'll move on to the President's and CEO's report.
Chair and Commissioners, before I begin, I just wanted to personally thank Commissioner Powell for her leadership as the Vice Chair the last term. She was an incredible leader, still is a leader, so I consider her a terrific mentor for me personally, and I know I have bugged her numerous times over the last years, and sorry to tell you, I'm going to continue bugging you for insight and your knowledge and to pick your brain, so just know that I'm still going to be messaging you as often as I can, if that's okay.
Your call is always welcome. I may not be answered, but it's always welcome.
Right. Good to know. Well, first, let me start by stating that I had a roundtable yesterday here in San Antonio with HUD Secretary Scott Turner. It was a good discussion on our affordable housing challenges, including regulatory barriers and red tape that prevent moving financial assistance to the hands of our residents faster. We were glad to host a discussion at the Baltazar, which is one of our partnership properties just up the road from where we are today. I also want to let you know that we officially launched Strategy 2037, a centennial vision, on June 26 right here at Snowden Living. The 10-year roadmap continues our commitment to preserving, modernizing, and expanding nearly 15,000 affordable units. We had remarks from District 7 Councilwoman Marina Adarete Gavito and former HUD Secretary Henry Cisneros. So I just wanted to thank the Chairwoman, the Vice Chair, and Commissioners Johnson and Garcia for joining the event. Following up on our commitment from December, we completed a full maintenance check on our family housing wait list. Direct outreach allowed us to streamline the list from 46,000 down to 12,800. active households who confirmed their need for assistance. This represents a major positive step. It clears out inactive data, shows that most legacy applicants have stabilized their housing situation, and gives us an accurate baseline of families actively seeking help. Beyond strategic planning, our executive team continues to represent us at the state level. I'm proud to announce that our Chief Asset Management Officer, Brad McMurray, was elected to the 2027 Board of Directors for the Texas Affiliation of Affordable Housing Providers, or TAP. Brad officially stepped into the role on July 20th, securing Opportunity Home a direct seat at the table to advocate for our community and housing industry. Turning to resident engagement, our teams hosted a very active summer lineup across our properties. On June 5th, we partnered with Workforce Solutions Alamo at Central Office to provide residents direct access to job applications and career coaching through their Workforce One mobile unit. On June 6th, we co-hosted a gun violence awareness event at Alazan with Big Mama Safe House to connect residents with healing and prevention resources. On June 11th, we hosted Lincoln Heights families for the San Antonio Botanical Gardens Natural Navigator hands-on educational program. On June 20th, we co-hosted a 26th annual Father's Day Fiesta with our San Antonio Fatherhood Campaign partner at our Opportunity Home Park. On August 1st, we partnered with the Cornerstone Church for a back-to-school event at Lincoln Heights to provide families with free backpacks, shoes, haircuts, groceries, and food. In total, some 102 households were assisted, including more than 239 kids. Finally, coming up in the next few weeks, on August 12th, which is next week, we have a groundbreaking at Lookout Residence, and that's in District 10, right outside 1604 and at the intersection of 1604 and I-35. On August 13th, we have an academic scholarship event. On August 21st, we have a resident advisory board meeting. On September 19th, we have a STEM event in partnership with HUD and St. Philip's College. And finally, on September 24th, we have a collaborative connections meeting, which is our quarterly partnerships meeting with our community partners. And so, Chair and Commissioners, that's the President's report.
Thank you, Michael. All things that we should celebrate. And congratulations to everybody for pulling off some amazing events this summer. I was able to attend one or two, and they were very much appreciated. And again, thank you all. Thank you, Michael.
I just want to note that when I joined the board 317 years ago, there was, I called Workforce Solutions Alamo, and I said, hey, we're moving to work agency. I found this out. What kind of agreement, can you talk to me about the agreement you have given you're the workforce agency? And they said, wait, there's no agreement. We don't coordinate at all. We don't do anything with you. And I thought, well, that is a huge wasted opportunity. And so all the things that you just mentioned, being able to have quarterly partners meetings, which I know bring resources to our families, the idea that you're developing these agreements and these partnerships, and that we're a part of the bigger ecosystem, it's just so exciting to see. So thank you.
Thank you, and thanks to Ayana and Susan who lead that effort with CDI. They do amazing work.
Okay, so now we will recess from the regular board meeting and enter into the Las Vadas Public Facility Corporation and San Antonio Housing Facility Corporation meetings. The time is now 4:27 p.m.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the Las Vadas Public Facility Corporation meeting on Wednesday, August 5th, 2026. Please note this meeting will continue to be recorded in its entirety. As we have had changes in our commissioner attendance, we will conduct roll call. President Estrella Garcia Diaz.
Here.
Vice President Tanika Nikki Johnson.
Here.
Leela Powell.
Here.
Barbara Unkama Burford.
Here.
Janet Garcia. Dr. Norma Martinez Rogers. Kayla Miranda. Doug Ponick, Board of Commissioners Attorney.
I'm here.
Secretary Treasurer Michael Reyes.
Here.
You may call the meeting to order.
Okay, I will go ahead and call this meeting to order. It is now 4:28. Do we have any citizens to be heard?
There are no citizens signed up to speak.
Okay, there being no citizens to be heard, I will move on to the approval of the June 3rd, 2026 Las Vadas Public Facility Corporation meeting minutes. Is there any discussion regarding this item? There being no discussion, I'll call for a motion to approve the minutes of June 3rd, 2026, Las Varas Public Facility Corporation meeting. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
I've got a first and second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Okay, moving on to consent items. We have consent items numbers 4 through 10, and please remember that a majority or all of these were discussed in our regular board meeting. So I will go ahead and ask for a motion to approve consent items 4 through 10. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
I have a first, and do I have a second?
Second.
First and second, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. I will now ask if there is any objection to adjourning the meeting. I've got no objection, so I will adjourn the meeting at 4:30 p.m. We will now move into the San Antonio Housing Facility Corporation meeting. I'll go ahead. I'm like, what does that mean?
I'll call you in.
I'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. It is still 4:30 p.m. Do we have any citizens to be heard?
There are no citizens signed up to speak.
Okay, since we have no citizens signed up to speak, I will ask for approval of the June 3rd, 2026 San Antonio Housing Facility Corporation meeting minutes. Is there any discussion regarding this item? Hearing that there is no discussion, I ask for a motion to approve the June 3rd, 2026 San Antonio Housing Facility Corporation meeting minutes. Do I have a first?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Having a first and second, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. We have consent items numbers 4 through 13. And again, we discussed all of these items in the regular board meeting in detail. And if there are no questions regarding any of these, I will ask for a motion to approve consent items 4 through 13. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
I've got a first and second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. And if there are no objections, hearing none, I will go ahead and adjourn this meeting at 4:32 p.m. And we will now return to the regular board meeting, and we will call it to order at 4:32 p.m. We will now move into closed session.
Thank you, ma'am. The board will be convening in closed session to discuss personnel and consult with its attorney under sections 551.074 and 551.071 of the Texas Government Code, to consult with the attorney and consider the president and CEO's performance, review metrics, expectations, and deliverables, to also meet on real estate and consult with the attorney under sections 551.072 and 551.071, to discuss with the attorney the Bristol at Somerset litigation, and finally to receive an litigation update under 551.071. The time is now 4:33.
The time is 6:19 p.m. and the board has returned from closed session. Shall I conduct Commissioner roll call?
Do you need something?
I call the meeting to order.
Do we have to call roll again?
No, we don't have to call roll again.
Madam Chair, if I can, on behalf of the board, so there's two items that require action by the board.
Thank you, Doug.
Yes. One item is to resolve litigation regarding Bristol at Somerset litigation. Staff has recommended a proposed settlement, so a motion is required to approve the settlement on that matter as discussed in closed session.
I move that we approve the settlement as discussed in closed session.
Second.
Got a first and second. Do we have any questions or discussion? There being none, I Ask for a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. And do you want to do the second one?
Yes, ma'am. The board also reviewed the president and CEO performance, and a motion is required to approve the evaluation, subject to some additional minor changes to be made by the chair. The evaluation and the bonus also is discussed in closed session. So we just need somebody to say so moved.
So moved.
Second.
We've got a first and second. There being no additional discussion, can we call for a vote? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes.
That's it, ma'am. There's no other action.
No, we have another item.
Uh-huh.
Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday to you.
Oh, yeah.
Happy birthday, Madam Chair. Happy birthday to you.
Thank you.
And one more thing.
That's public.
How you doing? One more thing before we adjourn. Just a big thanks, as always. Taking this show on the road, I know it's a huge, it's a huge burden on the staff, and I know this wasn't the ideal space. And so thank you so much for letting us get out in the community. I know we would not have heard from these Snowden residents had we not been literally in their front yard. So we really, really appreciate the folks here and the team here at the property for welcoming us. And then just in general, like, I mean, we were evaluating the CEO, but his leadership and his team building and the work that you all do, that's what allows him to shine, and what it allows the improvements that we've seen for the residents. And that comes through, even today, like today where there's a difficult meeting, we're all pretty united here that the results are very positive.
Yes.
So thank you.
Absolutely.
Ditto.
Thank you. Yes. Okay, I am going to go ahead and adjourn the meeting. It is now 6:23 p.m. Thank you, everybody.